Interactive Weekly GeekCon, all blended with wit, sarcasm, and a pub-like atmosphere. We're adults talking about adult topics and using adult language. We laugh and make jokes about almost everything. We don't intend to upset, but some folks have their feelings hurt easily. This is all done in humor in the style of the great offenders such as George Carlin, Red Fox, Lenny Bruce, Richard Pryor, Robin Williams, Wanda Sykes, Sam Kinison, George Lopez, Lisa Lampanelli, Chris Rock, and others. So grab your vice of choice, sit back, relax, and get ready to enjoy yourself in the company of great people, hot toddies, and guests alike, because here we come.
Put that long day behind you. Good times lie ahead. With company worth keeping, that'll bash a smile on your head. Come on in, the door's open. You'll find just the finest folks here. Pull up a chair, grab a drink, and lend our stories your ear. Cause we're the talk at the tavern. Here you're always welcome. The talk at the tavern. Promising beer and bedlam. The talk at the tavern. Music, medicine, then some. The talk at the tavern. The song's over. The tavern. Promising beer and bedlam. The talk.
You know, that's what I needed to put in the notes to remember to do every show. Mute the channel when I start the play. Because otherwise we get a double feed. Welcome to, what are we on? May 17th episode of Talk of the Tavern, Virtual International Pub. And today we have Jay Smith, who I'm going to give a brief breakdown of his stuff and then get back to him here in a minute where he can expand. Author, blogger, podcaster, award-winning audio dramatist, Body Farm visitor, Buck Rogers fan, and underwear model, I think. I'm not sure. But first, I let me introduce
Jay Smith, buddy.
Is there
Well, we won't go there.
I only know you. Let me introduce my co-host on the show, co-host in life. This is Andrea. What's your vices today?
Okay, I have coffee in your cup I took.
Nice.
A half a plate of brownies that I made last night because I wanted brownies.
I don't blame you.
So, yay, brownies.
No.
Nice.
And then, of course, as I mentioned, our guest today, Jay. Jay, do you want to tell him what your vices are, as well as maybe a little more about yourself?
I am partaking of just unsweetened tea this afternoon. Later, it'll be a little bit more spirited.
Is it real tea, or is it like a mix, or did you boil water? What kind of tea do you do?
I got it out of a bottle.
Okay.
Gold Peak.
Oh, no, okay, that's pretty decent.
Ding.
Don't you love when they
yeah.
actually say real tea used to make this? It says it right on the label, and you're like, is there another kind?
Yeah, and I believe it. The number of chemicals in here, I'm sure have nothing to do with what I'm consuming. It is just tea leaves and the freshest water from underneath Fiji, I imagine.
Wow, you're like a gypsy, but a classy one.
Oh yeah, it's the skull mug that sets it all off. It certainly heightens the tension in HR meetings during the day.
That's awesome. See, I carry a skull under my mug, but not a mug of my skull. You were saying, douchey. Don't mind that, dude. We just met. The hell's wrong with you?
Hey.
No, I'm a little douchey.
So I'm sorry. What did you want me to do? Talk about me?
Who are you? What are you doing here?
I stumbled upon this Skype channel and just kind of wandered in. I don't know what the hell you guys are doing, but
Soon we're going to clean out our ears and eat out loud for you. How about that?
Yeah. Okay. Sure. I'm sure people will pay for that. Andrea, that's true?
Do you have
okay.
Do you have some
It
color
is.
in your
I've
beard?
seen it.
Now I'm trying to figure out if it's a reflection from your computer screen or else if you have almost like a neon yellow in your beard.
No, that's got to be
Reflection?
That's got to be from the yeah.
Okay. Just
I'm
checking.
moving in and out again. Mm-hmm.
I've seen how
No,
hip
He's
you were.
radioactive.
Could be.
Okay, I won't interrupt you more. Tell us about yourself, sir.
Oh, I am, as you said, my primary occupation is in human resources, but I am an audio dramatist. I love audio storytelling, audio movies. I listen to audiobooks probably more often than I read them. I just love the music of words and telling story in creating visuals out of metaphor and simile and creative writing. I also love working with voice actors and collaborative storytelling. I think a lot of times stories just lay flat on a page, but when you get the right set of actors, it really comes to life.
Absolutely.
I'm also an author. I've been on several different podcasts, and my last one was a Ghostbusters fan cast. Currently, my only project is I'm recapping every episode of the 70s Buck Rogers series, the one with Gil Gerard.
Before you go too far, I want to ask, real quick, what's your opinion on the new Ghostbusters movie?
I enjoyed it. To me, I am a diehard fan. I was there day one in '84.
Mm-hmm.
I was a Ghostbusters fan before it was cool and retro cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, anytime that the Ghostbusters are on screen, they become members of that family. It wasn't as good as the original, and I don't think anything ever will be. But it wasn't as bad as I think the fanboys wanted to make it out to be.
I agree.
And even the issues with them being chicks, quote unquote, aside, there was a lot more action.
Mm-hmm.
I think the action in the third act was a lot better than the other two films. But the story was just kind of meh. Okay, but it was meant to be a comedy, so whatever.
Not a complex.
They cut
story.
out a lot of it.
We've watched the special features.
They cut a lot out.
Yeah, I think it was adequate for a summer blockbuster. I wasn't expecting any grand new.
No. It was a fun romp that went well with popcorn.
Yeah, we did a great podcast on that from a feminist perspective, and the guest talked about how important it is to have representation, and if the characters actually were, if they passed the Bechdel test, if they were independent agents, if they had agency, and it was a really interesting discussion. I don't think any real hardcore fan of ghosts and ghost busting would be interested in it, but and a fan of media and gender relations, I think, would be.
Good. No, it's an important conversation to have, because once we have it enough, we can stop having it because we'll be there.
Yeah, really.
And that goes for racism or any kind of unaccepting of other people or non-equality issues. Is we talk about them till we don't need to.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's going to be a long conversation, I'm afraid.
I know. I'd love to say, in 50 years, but 50 years ago, 100 years ago, I would have thought we would have been further by now than we are. So,
yeah.
So you were saying Buck Rogers, because I've looked at some of your stuff, and apparently this is a passion for you. Is it just because of Miss Gray there, or is there more to it?
I wanted to go back, and I had a lot of projects that have started installed, and I wanted something to recharge the batteries. I wanted to go back and find something that engaged me in writing it at the very beginning when I was 8 or 9 years old. And I realized that Buck Rogers had come out on Blu-ray, and they had remastered the whole series, and I wanted to see how it held up. So I figured my friend Keith DeCandido writes a recap series on comics and comic films, adaptations, and other things. And I thought, I could just rip him off and do something like that for Buck Rogers, just to kind of keep working on the writing, but then relax and enjoy myself. The show, it was. Aaron Gray was a big part of it when I was young. Obviously, I'm not alone in that.
Sure.
The show, it's almost impossible to get through in some cases. But I've tried to make it fun and interpret things that are on the screen, and then make fun of the sets that are even more wobbly than they were on the old cathode ray tube. Just have fun with it. Call out all the plot discrepancies and all that.
Andrea and I had a similar experience with Greatest American Hero, which I had on DVD, and I went, oh, God, this thing was great as a click. We're going to need a drink for this, aren't we?
Yeah.
It was,
You're a kid, though.
Oh, I know. Well, there's a beauty and a charm in not having everything at your fingertips. We loved Saturday morning cartoons because it was only on Saturday morning.
Yeah, now it's all the time.
Yeah, we loved the Incredible Hulk TV series or Wonder Woman because where else did we get live action superheroes?
Right.
And now we watch them and
Appointment
go,
television.
not so good.
Yeah, well, it was the experience. A lot of that time we were sitting around with our parents and our brothers and our friends, and it was an event. We had popcorn and made a thing about it. I remember watching Battlestar Galactica behind this little Starfighter play set, and I would play along with the Colonial Vipers and blow Cylons up, and it was great.
And you were 30 at the time.
I still do that.
I know.
Yeah. I worst thing I do is do dialogue along with Ghostbusters and alienate all of my friends and family. But yeah, I mean, back then it was just great. It was on your screen. It was a 16-inch black and white, 64 line. Everything was obscured and fuzzy. And now seeing everything in Blu-ray quality, that brings a different perspective on it. We're looking at that like
the TV I have is, I guess I bought it 6 or 7 years ago, which it was really good at the time. Not top of the line. I never buy top of the line. I always buy like between halfway and top of the line, at the medium rare mark, if you will.
Okay.
And now watching, have you seen Defenders on Netflix?
Yes.
Okay, you know how dark the scenes are shot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's sometimes like this black screen with like 3 silhouettes kind of visible because my TV is
Same thing with Gotham.
Yeah. And
Can't see anything.
I told Andrea, we need a new TV. She's like, we don't need a new TV. And then we went into whatever store and they had a dark scene. I'm like, look. And she's like, God, that's nice. I'm like, yeah, we need a new TV. There's blessings and curses about the new high definition. And sometimes I think it looks better than real life.
Yeah, it depends. You have your settings in the room and there are settings on the TV. But yeah, there's some are better than others.
Yeah. I'm sorry. You were saying Buck
Rogers.
Rogers.
Did you watch? No, what did you watch else as a kid?
Oh.
If I could put that sentence in the right order. What else did you watch as a kid?
I was not allowed to watch television. So I'm going to do this in a few stretches. Yeah, well, by the time we hit our teens, my mother was like, just leave me alone and never talk to me. Have a TV in your room. But preteen, not a whole lot. Caught a little Dukes and Hazzard, a little, I guess, A-Team and Knight Rider was coming out as I was hitting 12, 13, if I'm remembering correctly. But those were my brother's shows, not mine. Mine were less single-serving, syrupy sweet, formula shows. I always loved comedy, though. Comedy was always my favorite. I just love to laugh at anywhere from the ridiculous to the intellectual and anything in between.
I took that from your opening. Yeah. That's one hell of a list, man.
And I listen to that opening every day, and I go, I need to probably shorten that, but I kind of want to pay, a little tribute to all of them.
Sure. You could go on forever, man. I mean, out of Second City or the Groundlings.
I won't use Saturday Night Live, though, because they're only funny for one episode. Then the rest of the season, you're like,
It's changed over the years because of all of this political correctness and bullshit.
Well, there is that.
True. I mean, you mine a little bit of comedy out of a lot of crap. I'm not a big fan of improv, but it's just, I know that Saturday Night Live has always been called broadly unfunny, but we always remember characters. I mean, every season there's at least one character or a breakout personality who will go on to greatness, and it's because they went through that whole thing with Second City or the Groundlings or Upright Citizens Brigade. Right. And I love the history of that, particularly in the 70s, where it was all, the rules were completely different and it was a different world then.
Yeah.
Almost like the Wild West.
That's a good comparison. Yeah. That's a good comparison. Comedy in the 70s was the Wild West of comedy.
Yeah. And I think the Peck and Paw was Chris Farley. That was the end of that era.
I never found him funny. Never found him. No. I found him. Oh, hey! Thanks for that host. Appreciate it, Angela. Angela just hosted us. Andrea, do you want to talk about some of the stuff you watched as a kid while I kind of mull over because Post-teen.
If you can hear me, because my internet.
Go ahead. We hear you.
I don't know. One of the things I really liked was Knight Rider. I wanted the car.
Mm.
Yeah.
Batman, like the Adam West Batman.
Okay, I got something.
Yeah.
Muppets.
Oh, yes.
Muppets was big for
The
me.
Muppet Show, yeah.
Yeah.
That was subversive back then, too. They were great.
And it's still subversive today. And when I watched it with my son when he was 4, we'd both laugh for different reasons. And now that
Yeah.
he's older, we can both laugh, and he's getting the jokes that he didn't get then. And
Yeah, I think that's the same with Batman, too. I
Yes.
think that's one of the reasons why I can. That holds up really well, even after
it does.
40 years.
Have you seen the animated ones with Adam West and Burt Ward doing the voices?
Yes. Yeah.
They're just as good as the
nostalgic.
show. Yeah.
They're. I was disappointed that they didn't do the Harlan Ellison version of the Two-Face
Mm,
story that he was going to do, but having Shatner do Two-Face was just great.
yeah. Well, it fits.
Oh well, it's Shatner, so he.
Yeah.
I've watched him rap Julius Caesar or Marcus Antony. Have you seen Free Enterprise?
No, I haven't seen it, but I have a copy of. Hold on, I'm trying to think. Give me a second. Let me look this song up in my database here. Let me
No
see.
Tears for Caesar.
That's it. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, that's a number in that movie.
Okay. Good to know.
It's great. The rest of the movie is fantastic. It's Bill Shatner. Oh, we are just randomly running through different topics here.
It's welcome to the show. Yeah, man.
Yeah, but Shatner plays a parody of himself, a very insecure kind of OCD type personality, and he's
So more of his real life personality.
Yeah, well, I guess, yeah. But he's very needy and kind of but these two swingers, it's based part of on the film Swingers. These two guys are trying to make a film, and they try to get Shatner involved in it, and hijinks ensue.
Nice.
So I haven't seen it since the aughts, but I hope it holds up. They talk about they talk about laser discs in it, so that's how old it is.
See, I think there's different kinds of holding up. There are some that just hold up. They're timeless. Casablanca it is timeless because it feels like a period piece now that's been done well, whereas when it was made, Era was only 10 years before it was made, so it was kind of still modern. But then there's other things like our superhero movies and whatnot. Thank you, Night Owl. Throwing bits at our face. They
Very
threw their
cool.
bits at our face, buddy. Yeah. He got his like childlike grin of.
Ooh, we pay extra for that in the real world.
That's
Cool.
right, we do. So you get some that don't hold up at all. Some that. And speaking of Shatner, if you have a chance to watch Boston Legal, that's a great show, and it holds up. Though it's only 15 years old, it's still the issues they cover there. We still haven't got past them. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there's other stuff
Billy
that.
Jack.
Yeah, it does.
I remember just going back and being asked. A common meme on Facebook is, what are your big influences in from your childhood, either film or book? And going back and going, this was an important film for me or an important book for me, but I haven't seen or read it in 20 years, and I wonder how it holds up. And things like one of my favorite books was Somerset Maugham's The Razor's Edge, and I read it in a certain way as a young man. But now that I'm in my 40s, I reread it, and it's a completely different story.
You got the other side now, don't you?
Yeah. So you're absolutely right. I thought I went back through and I see this character's perspective for the first time. I thought he was an asshole, but now that I have my own kids, he's the hero of the story.
Amazing, is it? I love it when that happens. And sometimes the difference is 5 years in your own life, and other times it's 40 years in your own life where you're like, oh. Yeah, this
or
is
just a significant experience, the death of someone, or
something
you can't talk about divorce till you go through it.
That's something I've told my son is there are emotions in movies and shows you will not react to until you have experienced it, so you can relate. And there are experiences that I can tell you about warn you about, draw you pictures, show you movies, and you're still going to go make that same mistake because it's not going to click till you fall on your face making that mistake. And then you're going to be like, oh, he told me about that. And that's how life is. Sometimes you can learn from others, and other times you just got to fall on your face.
My kids know a certain look I give them when they're making an argument, and I just give up. Like, okay, enjoy it.
I have
See what happens.
tried to put myself even further than just giving up. Because yes, absolutely, I'm with you on that. I have tried instead to flip it around like they know more than me for the moment, and start asking them questions. And yes, this is subversive, and I try to guide them towards coming to what will really happen, as opposed to a rose-colored version. So if I ask enough questions, maybe they'll think it through on their own, and then I didn't tell them. And I can go, that is an amazing thought right there. I wish you had thought of that.
That works at my day job. My kids have enough of the writer in them, that they start telling the story that leads to the ending they want. So I haven't been as successful in that part, but yeah, that's a great way. But yeah, when you're sitting with an employee or somebody and they're dead set on something, and you know that they're going to fall on their face, that's brilliant.
Reese's PC. Come on, follow me here. I'm curious about HR. I don't know how much you can discuss, or else if you want to discuss it all. But I imagine there could be go ahead.
Well, I mean, I'm a horror writer, so being in HR informs that greatly. So yeah, sure, let's talk hybrid.
Is that what HR stands for? Horror writer? Not editor, obviously.
That's how they spell it in HR. Yeah, but no, HR it can be fun because you have access to so many different personalities, and from a writer's perspective, you think about how jobs interact and work, and you think about character archetypes and what type of person exists in this job, and it becomes very Dilbertian at times, but it does lend itself to storylines. As a retail manager, it was probably more so because I was more in retail HR, where I was dealing directly with people. Right now, I deal with professionals, so
they know how to put on the mask.
Exactly, and exploring behind the mask is completely different, but also equally fascinating. But when you're dealing with somebody across the room or across the table from you and they want a job, those characters can become the antagonist of a deeply disturbing story sometimes. And you just want to ask them questions that have nothing to do with the interview. It's like, where did you bury the bodies? And how many people have you killed?
So I relate to that right now with you, where I'm like, I want to just ask you questions that have nothing to do with what we brought you on for, but HR, I'm like, I mean, how many people are sheeple versus original thinkers in percentages in what you deal with?
Well, I work for the government, and so
I don't know where this is going.
Well, you're familiar with DISC personality assessments, where you're in one of 4 quartiles. There's D, I, S, and C. We divide everybody into different quarters because all of us have. It's basically like Dungeons and Dragons. You divide people up into corners of the room, and some of them are dominant, some people are inspiring, some people like systems, and some people they thrive on consistency. So you divide them into their class, and the best way to assemble a D&D campaign is very similar to how you assemble a group in my job.
Right.
It's you have to have the dominant personality. You have to have the inspiring personality. But then you have to have a proportionate number of people who are Morlocks. And I don't mean that disparagingly, but they are the ones who do the work. And they're happy doing the work. They're the ones who produce. While other people are, they're sharing their vision and whatnot. You have people who are systems oriented, and we're going to create a system and then do it. And then you have the people who are like, okay, give me a set number of tasks and I'm going to do it. So you've got your fighter, your magic user, your thief, and your barbarian in that party. So in that way, it's really fascinating. I think it's about 50-50.
Really?
With your systems and your Morlocks.
Oh, okay.
And you have a small number of. You have to have a I'd say between those two hemispheres, you have about 80-20, but 40-40 on the bottom side, and probably a larger number of Ds or dominant personalities, or dicks if you want to call them that.
Right.
And then a small number of cheerleaders who are primarily that.
Well,
So,
I think, with the
I'm
dominance.
not saying that's. I want a disclaimer here because
Good.
I'm not talking about my agency or the Commonwealth in general. I think
Sure.
based on research in public sector in general. So if you're watching, boss, I don't mean you or
Right.
our team.
Well,
So.
I've noticed with dominant personalities, in my mind, and of course we could subdivide this to death, but there are two major categories. And probably 70 to 80% of dominant personalities are what I call look at me alpha males, or alphas, not necessarily males. The ones who beat their chest to get the attention and go, I'm great and I'm going to convince you of that. Then you have the more subtle dominants who are able to go up and inspire people also. They have some of the other traits in them. And they're the ones people naturally gravitate to, as opposed to just going to the person who's shouting the loudest.
Right. I think there's a difference between dominant personality and assertive personality, because if you dig down beneath both,
Mhm.
in one case you're going to find somebody who's got the goods to back up that bravado,
Mhm.
but underneath most of them, I think you find somebody who's very much oriented to systems and wants things a certain way. It's going to be really loud about it, or somebody who wants the world to just shut the fuck up and go away so they could do their work. None of them are inspirers. They're all narcissists, and but some people are taught that way. That communication is based on volume, not
It is,
content.
Or some
So,
people are. Right?
The distinction for the D in the disc is you're loud, you're assertive, but you can bring the heat when necessary.
Right.
But that's one way of thinking about it, and I think it's a very simple but also relatable
Absolutely.
way of talking about it. We can also divide them into colors. I like to joke with HR. We go to these meetings, and one time I said, we did the Myers-Briggs test, which is a bunch of letters if you're introverted, extroverted, whatever.
I had
said,
one
there's
person who say that is science's version of astrology, and it's just as true. So
Could be, yeah. Well, a lot of it is placebo. It's, I understand who I am now, so now I know how I'm going to fit into the
Right.
spectrum of people. But I said, there's a map of Star Wars and Harry Potter characters that you could use as a reference for this. And I'm like, really? Have you ever interneted? Yes. Well, here, let me show you. It's now, for one business in particular, it is now part of their standard training to show them the Star Wars Myers-Briggs conversion chart. Because it's true. Are you a Han Solo or are you a Lando?
hold on, I gotta write this down to Google it later. I'll use the Google. Okay, hold on, just got a quick note. Myers-Briggs SW chart. There we go. So I remember to go look that up.
Hey, I already got the link. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
It's
all over Pinterest too.
I'm sure it is. It's
Found one for like porn stars, and I don't know how they came to that. That was
who the hell knows modern
realized that.
porn stars? It's not the 90s where you bought videos. There's so many out there. How do you pick one or 9? You know what I'm thinking?
Whatever's in the top 10 on Pornhub.
That's true. So, have you
Yeah.
ever seen the you know how they do the Dungeons and Dragons alignment charts, and they'll have 9 different people in it? You seen the Star Wars one?
Mhm.
I like
Yeah.
that one.
Oh, they're a few of them. Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, they are. You play D&D?
I used to a lot. I played more Call of Cthulhu and Twilight 2000,
Paranoia?
but I played a lot of tabletop. Yes, back in the day. Oh yeah.
You ever play Toon?
No. I have friends who have. It sounds interesting.
It takes 5
But-
minutes to learn, and then it's like playing a Bugs Bunny or Tom and Jerry cartoon. It's that simple.
Nice.
It's just
Yeah.
4 stats, 1 dice, and a goofy ass time.
And when I was younger, I probably thought I was too cool for that, but that sounds really cool now.
It was a Steve Jackson
But-
game, and if you know his name, you know he makes a decent
Oh,
product, like Paranoia.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have a bunch of GURPS books under my desk.
There you go.
Waiting for that one day I can go back. We have a place here called Second and Charles, which is kind of a used bookstore, a corporate used bookstore. And one day I walked in, and their entire RPG section had every GURPS and every Palladium book on sale for like $2 or $3, and it was like a day or two before payday, and I was just, oh god, it was gone.
I found a used bookstore that has any of the old books or half the cover price, which means the older the book, the cheaper it is.
Right.
And by the way, I asked a D&D question for ulterior motives. Due to the show and a guest we had on and his friends that came on, we have now started putting together an online D&D 5th edition game. So I was just asking in case you were...
Just saying.
I was interested.
We'll talk after the show and make sure you
Sure.
don't hate us after, because you might be like, oh, well, I was totally wrong
You're
about
like,
interest in that.
No.
No. So far,
he's a
not
D.
so bad. Yeah, he's a D with I tendencies. Or there's a whole different set that we use where it's code in HR to call people names and in meetings, and they don't get it. We don't do it at my office. Ever.
Of course not.
So
I'd be
No,
wrong.
you would never do that.
never.
I wonder if you could
so-
rearrange it to DICK. Can you come up with other letter? So you have the dick chart, and which part of the dick chart do you fall on? Are you dominant? Are you inspirational? Are you?
It's
Dicks.
DICS. Dicks.
I could see that at their first pitch meeting. They walked into the dean of the department and went, "We got a great idea for you, dicks.
That's right.
Revise it." Okay, stop right there. We're going to bring HR in, and we're going to have a conversation about context.
You know where I
Yes.
imagine this happening? At headquarters for Hooters.
Yeah, we're just gonna flip this around. Yeah,
Got a great idea for Hooters. Dicks.
I'm really interested in getting back into horror, and a lot of what I write now is based on research in virtual worlds. So I'm
Oh.
fascinated with how our world back in the 70s and 80s of tabletop games is being integrated into virtual worlds, and you can this whole Ready Player One phenomenon that Ernest Cline kicked off and Neil Stevenson has mastered.
Hmm.
It will be interesting to see how what we used to do becomes a four-dimensional activity for our kids and grandkids down the road.
Yeah.
I watch my son play video games, and I've reached that age where I've lost use of my control hands. I don't know how to use the 200 button thing. And then I get motion
two joysticks. I mean, I'm like facing the ceiling, running backwards or something. I'm like, what the hell am I doing?
And I remember doing this to my own father with the old Atari joystick. No, Dad, button goes up in the upper left.
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't understand this stick thing, and thinking he's a real idiot. But then my son's looking at me the same way, like, it's only 20 controls and knobs and buttons, Dad.
You know where else
I
I
had
see
this down in
this?
10 minutes. What?
As a kid, talking to any adult about the Star Wars characters. Oh, you got Snaggletooth and you got Greedo. And now my son will come at me with anime names, and I'm just like, I have no clue what you're talking about, dude. Yeah.
Pass. Yeah.
And I don't care, really. So go enjoy it and talk to me, and I'll act like I like what you're saying.
Yeah. That's the one guy with the thing that does the thing with the other thing, right? And he's, go away, Dad. I got this. All right.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
get it. That's the flip side. You had a couple of years on your timeline, and suddenly you're on the other side of the story.
Yep. But I still go to these events, and I'm curious to see how they've integrated that. You just walk into an environment, and the lighting and the sound is such that the action changes based on your path through it, and it's really cool because it's becoming more and more complex as we go along. You know, the story changes as we make decisions.
Have you seen the phone games that you walk through your house and it maps your house the first time you play? And then,
Oh yeah, augmented reality.
yeah, you only see the ghost or whatever it is on your phone, and you know you'll see a heat signature behind a door in your own house, and you're like, and yeah. And then with the headsets and the right music on that, yeah, suddenly you're pissing yourself.
It's when you put the goggles on and you do that, and then you're like, oh.
Nah,
cool.
I have cats. I would so hurt something or myself. I can't put
Yeah.
goggles on in my house. I'd have to lock the cats in a room and so I don't trip them.
I tried something before they had mastered the frame rate problem, where you throw them on, and the frame rate was low enough that your brain just started overworking
Right.
and giving you a headache, and I stopped. But apparently they've mastered it so that it's tricking your brain into HD and I forget what they call it, but it just tricks you into having that full experience at high resolution. It's really fun now.
Interesting.
But to be able to walk through your house and then they're going to, it's not just placing something in your 3 dimensions, but then applying a story to your 3 dimensions.
Right.
As you walk through the house, you have to unlock a certain door in your house, and you start talking to certain characters in your living room. And that I think is a cool idea that we're going to see in the next year or so.
I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder
That
if
would
we
be
could
fun.
set this up. I mean, talk about a surprise party if somebody takes off their goggles and you have people loaded into their living room.
Yeah.
Wonder if you could do that, especially with the earphones and everything. Yeah, they'd be pretty much sensory deprived.
Yeah. And then we start getting the first news reports of people who were skewered by their sibling because they were really standing there.
There is that. It's going to happen. This is the thing about like the automated cars, Google automated cars, and they're working on flying cars now. And actually, like Uber has like VTOL vehicles being tested right now that could drop people off on different air pads on buildings. But people always like, oh, and it wrecked. This is horrible. These things are unreliable. I'm like, you know how many accidents we had when we were first testing the internal combustion engine or the steam engine? Or this is a natural part of it. And yeah, maybe I'm a jerk for saying it, but people are going to die until we make it right. This is how we learn.
Yeah. If you show that you're doing as much as you can to control that, yeah, that's progress, man. It's unfortunate, it's tragic, but progress involves tragedy. And I might say it differently if it were my kid, but
Right.
We lost people going to the moon.
We
Did
did.
we want to stop going to the moon because we lost 3 astronauts? Those 3 astronauts would have said, fuck no. So let's get there.
That's true. That's true. Look at them as heroes who gave their lives for the advancement of society.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Or a drunk guy that went, hold my beer. One of the two.
We got that flat earther who made his own rocket to prove that the Earth was flat, and then that didn't go well.
I'm glad you brought this up because I saw the article after he came back. And he's like, yeah, the rocket was like this, the rocket was like that, but I came down and I'm like, and what was the result of your... They don't tell you. He didn't say anything about it's flat or I was wrong. He just talks about his rocket. So does he ever come out and finally go, well, yeah, okay, it's a sphere?
Nope.
No? Okay, just checking.
There's no money in that. There's no
Press coverage.
hits. Yeah, that too. So do you think I could start my own Twitch channel by just drinking tea out of a skull mug? Do you think there's a market for that, guys?
You know
Yes.
what I think there
Okay.
is
Yes.
with your voice and your audio drama stuff, I think picking up your favorite book, whether it's The Little Train That Could or Stephen King or anything in between, and just reading it, and think of it as voice practice. But yeah, it'll take time like anything. You're not going to have, after a week, have an audience of 2,000 people. But yeah, I think
I don't know.
I found on my YouTube channel when I read some of my own books or short stories and just do a video of that, and I'll drink a brandy and smoke a pipe during it, I get a lot of hits on those because there's a lot of people that want this kind of atmosphere theater of your favorite uncle reading you a story or something.
It's your favorite Uncle Jay.
Not the
We're gonna
creepy
read
uncle.
We're going to read Helter Skelter tonight, kids.
Gather round and make sure you clap at the good parts.
Yes, I actually read That's Not Your Mommy Anymore by Matt Moak. It's a children's book about a kid whose mother was eaten by a zombie and turns into a zombie. All right, and it's on YouTube. And I forgot about it because it was for class, and then the class went away, but I left it up there. And I kept getting comments from people every couple of months like, what the are you reading to these kids? I went, it's a joke, guys. But it's probably gotten more hits than anything I legitimately tried to make popular.
Have you seen Santa Clarita Diet on Netflix?
No, I've heard of it, but no, I haven't
Yeah.
seen it yet.
It's fabulous.
It's fun and silly, and yeah, basically Drew Barrymore turns into a zombie, but she's still trying to live her rural life or suburban
Nice.
life. Sorry, suburban life.
Her and her husband are realtors. Makes it interesting.
Yeah, but anyhow, adorable show. if you
Similar to
enjoy it.
iZombie?
Better.
Okay, well, that's
Less,
good.
I
A
mean,
little more comedy.
yeah, it's a
Okay.
sitcom essentially. And Timothy Oliphant, I think, is his last name. That might,
Elephant, yeah.
yeah, okay. I'm making sure that's not like that D&D creature that I'm thinking of. He is just. I've never been a big fan of his, but I adore him in this. He is just funny and witty, and they're all just spot on. Good writing, good directing, great acting, and
Yeah.
Nathan Fillion shows up in it. And,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
so. Anyhow, just a quick recommendation along the
Yeah.
lines of that's
Cool.
not your mother anymore because they have a teenage daughter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
That's one of my list of things to watch. I'll mark that down.
it's great fun and smart. It's a smart show.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think the last thing I saw on Netflix was it was a Day of the Dead Bloodlines. The last ripoff of the Romero
Okay.
film.
So when you say it that way,
Yeah, it-
probably not too good.
It was awful. I mean, I am a huge Romero fan
Mhm.
and very loyal to the late genius.
Mhm.
I owe him a debt because of H.G. World, obviously, but his movies kind of dropped off after Day of the Dead.
They did.
But somehow the licensing, you can remake any of those movies and just throw zombies in it and a tagline and make it your special effects reel. And it was just garbage.
By the way, you
All it
might
was is just,
go ahead.
no, I was done. I was petering out. It's your
Okay.
it's your time to recover me.
No, you might appreciate this. One of our cats, we have more than one. We named him Harryhausen Cat. So I'm not sure.
Cool.
There you go. You recognize where we pulled
Yes,
it from. Okay.
yes.
That was her clever idea for that name, and
Oh, very nice.
he's a little monster anyway, so it worked out okay.
Perfect.
I wanted to go back to, at some point in time, I want to go back to Buck Rogers because I don't want to cut you short on that, as well as the horror writing. And I do want to talk about what you do because I'm not terribly familiar with your work. So I want you to sell me on your work because I need some new authors. I need good authors that I just want to devour. Not literally. Well, literally, but not literally.
Like zombies,
Okay, sure. But what direction you want to head with this? Where
I don't know which.
how do
You know what?
Parse this.
Let's talk about you and what you write and pimp your books for a few minutes and then we'll bust into Buck Rogers if we haven't hit the top of the hour yet. So
We can roll 3d6 and Resurrection Pact. Okay.
I love a geek who has dice on hand.
Yes. I wrote about zombies for about 4 years. The first series I wrote for audio drama was called H.G. World. It was an atrociously titled audio drama series that I never expected would go beyond the pilot. I actually created a code. It was a code name for the series because I didn't want people to search and find the piece of crap that I was going to eventually
Right.
throw up on the internet.
Smart.
After that first episode, however, I guess it was of significant quality that a bunch of people volunteered to help out. We ended up doing 3 seasons of it.
How long
For
is the
3-4
season?
years. In terms of episodes, there's nothing. In terms of release schedule, it went from monthly to quarterly
Gotcha.
over the 3 years. But it's all done now, so it's all available for free download. You can watch, or you can listen to everything free of charge on iTunes.
How many total
But
episodes?
it's
20, 24?
about 25, 25 total. I can't remember. But there's also the audiobook of The Diary of Jill Woodbine, which is the spin-off novel, which basically retells the story of H.G. Wells from one person's perspective. That's read by the amazing Veronica Jaguar, fantastic voice actor and book reader. H.G. World won us a Parsec Award, which is
I saw
for our
that.
industry.
Congratulations.
And then, thank you. It was a long time ago. And at Jill
2012,
Woodbine,
if I'm
we
not
were
mistaken,
finalists. Yeah, 2011. Yeah.
Okay.
We were awarded in 2012 at Dragon Con, which was cool. And then Jill Woodbine, which was basically a voice and editing, was a finalist among shows that had more development and effects and whatnot. So we were very proud to get that far in a very tight field. But hey, after a while, we actually had 30 actors involved and I think over 50 characters. And the storyline just went everywhere. It became Game of Thrones Zombie Edition.
Nice.
And I think we all kind of burned out at some point.
Toey.
Oh, is Toei here? Jay, may I interrupt real quick? Oh, wait,
Oh,
Andrea, you
absolutely.
already showed the comic book yesterday, right? Or Tuesday. Toei has seen the comic book. Toei is somebody I created she has her own Twitch channel where she actually does farming simulation. But she's also an author and a game designer, and she, myself, and 2 other people created a card game called Awkward Compliments. Last week, Andrea ran across a comic book in her collection that Toei wrote long before all of us ever met. So that's just kind of catching you up where we're going. Oh, by the way, hello to Race. Okay, you know what? Let's see. Oh, okay. There's somebody here who ever cleverly has the name Ray, R-A-Y, racism. Now, in case this is somebody you know, we'll go ahead and read off this question so they get their little bit of attention. If it's not somebody you know, we'll see if they get to stick around. What award did he win? Most pubes on his head award?
Ooh!
Sound like a friend of yours?
Played.
Okay, yeah, very
Well
clever.
Played.
It's
Pubes.
I'm guessing that they just hit
lush
puberty, so
hair.
pubes are big on their mind. So
You're adorable. Welcome
Okay.
to the show.
So Ray,
Right.
here's your one, buddy. Now feel free to jump in, join in, have a great time. We are terribly inappropriate and everything, but yeah, avoid the asshole line, okay? That's it, buddy. Otherwise, yeah, you're more than welcome. We love this kind of stuff.
I remember when I had my first beer too. It's okay.
Unspoken, good to see you. Thanks for joining in. Glad to have you with us. There we go.
Toey, yes. Issue 2, yes, I need this.
Okay, now back to where we were. We were talking about the your second one that was a finalist for the Parsec Award,
Yeah.
or the second series, not necessarily book.
Yeah. There were three seasons of HG World, and then during a hiatus between the second and third, where we had issues, we filled the time by telling Jill's story, and the time it took for us to tell that story extended into season 3. But now that the show's over, we've reorganized everything on the website and everything's in chronological order. But it was great to work with a bunch of different actors. Collaborative theater is fantastic. To be able to see something grow. Did you get pinged again?
That was Unspoken following us, so thanked him already
Great.
for the follow. Yeah, appreciate that. Go on, buddy.
Very cool. No, and it was great to work with actors, and it really fueled my desire to do more of this stuff. There are a lot of actors who do this stuff out of the love of the drama, or out of the love of the genre and the medium.
Nice.
So these guys work for free. They love theater, they love voice acting, and they use these projects like mine as a springboard to get professional work. And I'm happy to say that I can't afford half of my cast anymore because they're all working. But they still come back and they volunteer when they have time.
One thing I look forward to is being successful enough that I never have to ask somebody to work for free again. Because I'm at that point also where, I can't pay you guys. Or what can we do? But yeah, one day where I can go, no, I got a paycheck for you. You want to do something?
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, is success.
Yeah, and I wish I could give back to them more
yeah.
than as much as they've given to us, or me personally, just to support the show. And I think it's a quality show. If you love zombies and you're not looking for effect shots and gore, and you want a real story like The Walking Dead at its height, then I've been told it's up there with We're Alive. So.
Oh, nice. And they can find it right off your website that we keep posting a link for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yep, or Good Morning Survivors. That'll give you more information specifically on that show. But yeah, find it through that.
Keep in mind, these people show back up because you did do something for them. If you weren't giving them something, even if it's not money, it's something else they're getting out of it, and you're giving that. And they appreciate it, which is why they've come back. So you're doing okay.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I just like as you said, I'd love to be able to write up a paycheck, and I know they put many hours. For every hour you hear somebody read a book, they've put at least 3 into it, and they don't get billed for that, or they don't get paid for that. If you go to audible.com, there's a way you can put your book on as an audiobook, and you can contract with a voice actor. They have various fees, and they can share profits, or you can give them a flat fee. And a lot of that work is not in the final mix, so they do a lot of work just to get it the final product. So yeah, and that's how I got into the Horror Writers Association. So I definitely owe them a debt. The book version of The Diary of Jill Woodbine sold a lot more than I expected, enough to get into Horror Writers Association.
That's good. That's a feather in your cap to be in the association like that.
Yeah, and that's what made a career. So it wasn't me shopping a book around and saying, please represent me. It was, here, let me tell you a story, and I hope you like the story enough to come back every month, and I hope that you buy the book. And they did. So that for a while was great, and I was able to do Hidden Harbor Mysteries, which was like The Shadow but with a female lead.
Nice.
We tried to get into
what era?
30s, 1936. It's an alternate world where Russia crushes the Nazis right out of the bag, and it's a Cold War in the 30s. So, but we have this pulp heroine who protects this city. And it's very much Batman meets The Shadow, and Veronica Jigger is also in that, plus a bunch of people who came along from HG World who are phenomenal. You can download that for free too. You go to hiddenharbormysteries.com. It's awesome. And I say that not necessarily because I wrote it, but because of the people who engineered it and the actors involved in it. Some of the best talent I was lucky to get. So
nice.
If you're into that and not zombies, we tried to go more steampunk, but it just didn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
But there's definitely a noir pulp adventure vibe.
I love that vibe. Do you ever play Torg?
No.
Torg was in the 80s, and they're bringing it back now. They're actually doing Kickstarters for it. It was the other role-playing game, Torg, T-O-R-G.
Mm-hmm.
But the concept was, you know what potential energy is?
Yeah.
Well, this is possibility energy. So Earth is chock full of possibility energy. So evil bad guys from another dimension or corner of space throws a bridge to try to latch onto Earth to siphon that off. Throws it right off. There's so much power. So they get like 5 of their lackeys, and they each attach a time-space bridge to Earth. So it turns England into a medieval fantasy world, most of the continental U.S. into a dinosaur land, Egypt into a pulp fiction era thing, and a few other bridges, India Gothic horror. So when you play the game, you can make a character from any one of these lands. So you can have a pulp fiction hero going around with a dinosaur hunter or a caveman with a dwarf and a wizard. And technology wouldn't work in the dinosaur land because those laws of physics haven't happened yet. It's been thrown back, so if you brought a Jeep into it, it would just sputter out. Your gun wouldn't fire for some reason because the laws of physics were different in that realm. It was just one of those things that I loved. Oh, by the way, let's see. A Modern Mystic. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. Good to see you here. Here's to you. It's I just love mixing up genres and being able to play your favorite with something that shouldn't be next to it.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I'm curious why I missed that. That sounds like something I would have loved back in the 80s. But
it was never huge, and if you were doing Twilight 2000 and Traveler or whatever else you were into, this was a little more. And so I even played it into the 90s with the same time White Wolf was getting big and Vampire Masquerade was growing. And I think it just, in the flood of games in the late 80s, early 90s, it just, not everybody saw it.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Now, we are 5 minutes before the hour. We're going to take a quick video break. Would you care to join us for the second hour?
Sure.
Excellent.
You'll have me. I'll be here.
Yeah, we'll keep you around here. We're not shutting the hell up, that's for sure, so we're doing all right. When we get back, we'll go back to Buck Rogers. That'll be our opening topic.
And I have questions, too.
Oh, okay.
So.
We'll start with Andrea's questions and go to Buck Rogers. So, okay, make sure you mute yourself. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Here's a video for you guys. Sit right back and relax, or get up and get a drink and refill what you have, while the cast and cohorts and co-hosts of Talk of the Tavern do the same. Now here's the testimony of some of the great people we've had on Talk of the Tavern or previously on Sounds of Steam. Enjoy.
This is Gail Carragher, author of The Finishing School and the Custard Protocol series, and you're listening to Talk of the Tavern.
This is Aiden Sivart, Steampunk Indiana Jones.
Hey, this is Scott.
This is Samantha.
And we're Frenchie and the Punk.
I'm Karen Kay, also known as the Fairy Lady and editor of Fae Magazine and also founder of Fairy Events.
This is K.W. Jeter, author of Infernal Devices and Fiendish Schemes.
Kircher here. I play Bifur in the Hobbit trilogy, and you are listening to Talk of the Tavern.
This is Trevor Crafts, executive producer and creator of Lantern City.
This is Lord Bobbins of Teslacon. Huzzah!
Steampunk Funk Bizarre here, Lord Monty, right in front of your radio.
Hello, this is Professor Elemental. When I'm not taking a bath in gin or trying to invent a new kind of badger, I'm listening. Oh, yes!
This is Stephen Davis of Raising Steam UK, 2-day Steampunk Festival in Reading. Enjoy.
I'm Thomas Williford of Brute Force Studios, and you're listening to Talk of the Tavern.
This is Commander Bob of Victor Sierra.
Je suis la légendaire princesse convertie de Victor Sierra.
Hi, my name is Sarah from Valentine Wolf.
Hey, this is Braxton from Valentine Wolf.
This is Aileen the Peacemaker, the founding editor of Beyond Victoriana, the multicultural steampunk blog.
Hey, this is Joseph C.R. Vortek, otherwise known as Electro Swing Neo Vintage DJ Vortek, and you're listening to Talk of the Tavern. I hope you come out of it in one piece. I'm not sure I did.
And don't forget about our other shows during the week. Tuesday, Middle Aged Gamers on Wednesday, and Virtual International Pub VIP on Thursdays. Make sure you join us there, 1 p.m. Eastern to 4 p.m.
Hi, my name is Ashley Rogers. I'm the organizer of the Copper Claw.
This is Calamity Dawn, mixologist of Airship Passepartout.
This is Commodore Lorpicar of Lost Saints Curiosities.
This is Jimmy Diggs of the Crypto Historians, reminding you that the future is in your hands.
This is Gabrielle Reel.
Hi, this is D. Clarence Snyder, writer of the Bright Future series, and you are listening to Talk of the Tavern.
This is Professor Marcus O'Bannon, the Chief Scientific Investigator for the Crypto Historians.
This is Lady Gatita of Nerdvana.
Hey, this is Angie Vello from Ghostfire.
This is Hannah Titania, Queen of the Fairies.
This is Jeff Platt of...
Again, we're going to come back a bit early because we're all here and ready. So, Andrea and I were talking in the break, and we're excited that we have finally hit the point where we have trolls. But I have to ask myself, Jay, is this because of you? Are you popular enough that you have stalkers that come around to harass you?
No, I'm not that popular.
It's all us.
Oh, it's us.
But, I tend to attract weirdos, but I think that's just me as a person, not as a writer.
We could both take mutual credit and go, just our chemistry together have drawn them in, so yay for that.
Well, yeah, if you see somebody just randomly scanning through Twitch and they see this middle-aged weird beard appear on their screen, maybe they just want to engage.
That could be.
Some people repress their feelings, their deepest desires in, the young age and early adulthood, and sometimes they just have no way of articulating them, positively or so, just our message to them is, let it out. Be who you are. We love you.
The thing is,
okay.
On Monday night shows, we have some regulars that if you didn't know they were our regular, you would swear they were some asshole troll, and they say stupid shit. But they're ours, and we know them, so we're good with it. And that's what I'm telling this girl here.
There are asshole trolls.
Yeah, this is what I'm telling these new guys who jumped in. And not you, Modern Mystic, but any of you other guys who are jumping in and saying silly stuff. We embrace that when it's done right.
Yeah, we don't give a shit.
Yeah, so I'm saying stick around, have a good time, and we will harass you back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not seeing it from my perspective, so I don't know what you're reading on your end. So.
I don't know. I tend to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. That's all.
Sure. Usually when my friends do that, they bring the heat. And they'll do something to clue me in that they know how to hit me. But
see, yeah, it's
We've had guests with friends like that.
Well, let me read the other comments to you in case this is some of the
okay.
friends that you're talking about. One person said you look like a gym teacher.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And one asked, how long would Jay survive the apocalypse, you reckon? Now, they spelled it Eurecon, but I assume they mean reckon.
Oh, I've already talked about that at panels all the time. I would be Otis in the first couple of hours. Someone's going to shoot my ass in the leg. They're going to run over me. In fact, our plan, we actually have a plan, is that I'm going to throw myself and become the buffet so my family can escape. So the answer to your question, it's a very good question, is not very fucking long. It's all good.
See, mine is all very dependent on where I am when it goes down and what goes down. And by the way, Mystic, we're falling for you too. So Mystic says, I think I'm falling for you also. There you go. You're going to fit in fine. We're horribly inappropriate, terribly fun.
We're here 4 days a week.
There we go.
So there you go.
So did we pimp ourselves enough? Should we go on with other stuff now? Andrew, you had questions.
Let's do.
I do. I have questions about your audio dramas.
Okay.
Are these things that you write yourself, or do you collaborate with others to write them?
Most of the stuff that's out there I wrote. Yeah. I tried to collaborate with some folks. We never got to production, but yeah, HG World is something I wrote. Hidden Harbor Mysteries I wrote. The future project, if I do Hidden Harbor Mysteries, the second season, it will be an anthology series. So that will be the first time that I collaborate with somebody on an audio drama.
That's all right. So what got you started into that? Why did you say, hey, I'm going to do audio dramas? What sparked it?
It's cost prohibitive to do film and it's difficult to do theater. And I grew up in a family of people who were very artistic, and brother was in a band. My sister was an actress. My other brother works in film. So my thing was, I want to get a bunch of people together and put on a show. Getting around a microphone and recording them onto a cassette is no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But then I grew up. My dad was 50 when I was born, and he was born in 1920, so he grew up on that stuff. And I remember back in the 70s, you probably remember this too, is that CBS Radio had radio dramas on Sunday nights, and they rebroadcast on PBS.
I remember the Star Wars radio drama.
Yes, that was a big one.
Yeah.
And Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, when that first came out, that was amazing. And it was that I can tell a story on a budget on radio that I can't do on a stage or on film. I can build a Hidden Harbor in somebody's mind for nothing, just a few carefully chosen words. And there's a power as an author and as a creative, somebody who wants to do collaborative media. Those two together, that just works. I will tell you, I was in the back of my dad's Dodge Dart in the mid-'70s, and he left me in the back seat of a running Dodge Dart, because you do that in the 70s.
Right.
While he was inside the Kmart. And CBS Radio was running an episode of Cape Cod Mystery Theater. It was called Mr. Hugo's Night to Remember. You could probably find it online. But it's about two guys stuck in a bathysphere at the bottom of the ocean near the Titanic wreck. And all it is two guys and an atmosphere of sound at the bottom of the ocean. And I sat there terrified at something that was about to happen for 20 straight minutes. And in the back of that car,
that's good
back
writing.
of a Dodge Dart, at night, I felt like I was in that sphere with them, and they were like right next to me. So that experience was that's what I want to do. Even at that young age, I'm like, I want to scare the shit out of some lonely 6-year-old in the back of a Dodge Dart when his daddy's in getting auto parts at Kmart.
Okay, you get arrested for that nowadays, mister.
Oh, yeah. I should admit that publicly. Yeah.
You mean on radio, though. That's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with radio. Yeah, radio, good idea.
And I
so
actually,
how did you start the process of that, though? How did you get it started?
Step one.
Have a good story.
Okay.
And the idea of HG World was born off of something my son Holden said when we were at a Home Depot. We were out in the garden section, and you're surrounded by those 30 feet tall fences that a truck could couldn't get through.
Uh-huh.
And my son just said, "This would be a great place to hang out in the zombie apocalypse."
Now, let Andrea interrupt you because she works at one of those large hardware stores.
Yeah.
I do. I work at Lowe's, and
Tell
now
them the plan.
we work, but we have, me and my coworkers, we have a plan for the zombie apocalypse. Who's going to stay, who's going to go, and how we're going to do the store.
Who's the buffet?
So yeah, it's like, okay, we don't like them, they're going to go.
That's cool.
For all the racks, we could put boards and go from one place to the other without touching the floor, you know.
Yeah. Well, in my universe, you are one of the saviors of humanity. So, congratulations. That's awesome. The House and Garden World, which is the title, essentially HG World is Home Depot or it's Home Depot, and it becomes, after the zombie apocalypse, the management of the store becomes the government. And they're a safe house for a bunch of civilians, and it was basically a satire of corporate mind control, where you subscribe to a brand and corporate identity and stuff. So all of the rules are based on corporate policy. So if you can imagine your manager being mayor or governor, that's the kind of thing that we were setting up.
Here's something to back up your story as feasible. When there was a tornado warning, the manager gathered everybody, all the employees and the customers, and herded everybody into the break room. Nobody was allowed to leave, customer or employee alike. So there's the start of it. Yeah, that's corporate policy. You put everybody in one room together.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it started.
Flash forward several years later, if you play or you watch the Walking Dead Telltale games, season 2, part of it takes place in a parody of a House and Garden Warehouse. They had the same idea. Obviously, we didn't converse about this. Who came up with it independently. It was just really cool to see how it actually played out in the Walking Dead universe.
So how did you, in your story, how did you block the big glass doors in the front?
I cheated. I said that the House and Garden Warehouse company was actually a front for a government organization that was using them to create safe houses for people in the event of what they knew was an inevitable zombie apocalypse. So they had drop steel doors.
Gotcha. Which actually makes sense, and I think some of them might actually have that, don't they?
They do.
So, it's like at a bank where it just drops an inch thick, and you're not getting in or out. So yeah, that's how that works.
Talking Toey says, quote, allowed to leave. Could no one fight this guy? LOL. Probably they could, Toey, but most people are sheep, and they're going to do what they are told and not rebel against somebody who takes charge, at least initially. They're going to be, this person knows what they're doing. They spoke with authority. Let's follow that guy or girl.
Well, I remember, you'd probably want to stay, because one time I was working a few years ago, and there was a tornado, and it tore up the road.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good thing a lot of people weren't out there.
Yeah.
Just saying.
It was also a conceit that we had this giant 1 million square foot warehouse in the middle of, I don't know how familiar you are with northwestern Pennsylvania, but
a little bit,
near Oil City, which is in the middle of nowhere. We created this small town valley that economically was depressed, and there was nobody living there, so there was really no market for a huge warehouse for your everyday consumer.
Right.
But it's there for some reason, and we explained it as, we kind of knew this whole thing was coming, so we built it here in the valley that we have natural protection.
Want to give a quick shout out to Lady Skipper and Grouchy. Thanks for joining us today, ladies. Okay, go on.
Hey guys. No, I was done.
Okay.
It was in the middle of nowhere in a valley, and it had natural defenses and its own defenses.
Toey says, I rarely do what I'm told, so such things always make me wonder. See, I'll do what I'm told, but I question almost everything. I don't follow blindly. I follow after going, does this make sense to do this? And my thought with a tornado, no, zombie apocalypse, stay indoors, smart. With a tornado is, really, roll the dice. Tornado's going to go where it goes. You are no more safer inside that cinder block building than you are in the middle of the street. Well, I guess winds might make a factor. But in general, if the tornado's coming and it lands on that building and hits that room, you're all dead anyway. It don't matter.
Well, yeah.
So do we want to go to Buck Rogers?
Um,
Oh, I'm sorry, Andrea. Did you have something else?
No, I'm just looking. I'm on your website.
Oh.
And I'm looking for the HG World thing.
If you go to shows, there's a tab marked shows.
Shows.
Or audio. I forget what it's called. I only own the site. I don't know what's on it. Let me see here.
Audio drama. Got it. Okay.
Or you can just go to goodmorningsurvivors.com.
There you go.
Oh, I see what it is. Because this is awesome. This is something I could pip to everybody at work. I'm like, here, this is how you do it.
Cool. And it's done with Wix.
Zoe
Stupid
says,
proof.
I'd rather die alone than die with idiots, I guess. I'm with you. And Modern Mystic says, if I don't trust them, I take over. Not too hard, because people that can't maintain the trust of the intelligent folks, they'll lose control pretty quick.
Yeah, a lot of things. If you're familiar with Jonathan Mayberry's work, he wrote a book called Zombie CSU a long time ago, which was the Bible for the series. He did a lot of research and interviews with cops and first responders and military types to determine what they would actually do. And one of the things I read from that book and some others is that skills become dominant. It's no longer about political authority or how big you are. It becomes what can you do for the tribe.
Right.
So it's the guy who can use a bunch of tools who's going to be making the orders, even if they're not related to the tools that he's using or capable of using, because you're going to listen to the guy. And I think that gets back to, it reflects on that, the dominant versus the assertive, where you're going to have somebody who says, I'm in charge, and then somebody else is going to go, if you really want my help keeping you alive, no, you're going to listen to me. Because I can actually do that shit. You can just talk a good game.
See, I've always
that's where
said...
you find...
Go ahead. Finish up.
No, that's... Go ahead.
With me, I would either be killed very quickly by the people as opposed to the situation, or I would run it. Because though I might not be good at anything, I have knowledge, the jack of all trades thing. I have a lot of little bits of knowledge, but my real skill comes in connecting with other people and pulling out their talents and organizing. So being able to have the right 4 people next to me and assigning duties where they don't feel like I'm just bossing around. I'm going, no, obviously you're fucking good at this. You do that.
Yeah.
This is why you always have people in your play that are smarter than you, not dumber than you.
Mm-hmm.
So things get done instead of you're just like, oh yeah, I'm better.
Yeah,
I was watching. It's a skill.
Yeah, I was watching Band of Brothers recently, and that is absolutely true. We could see the difference between Major Winters and Lieutenant Sobel at the beginning of that, where transactional leadership always fails. Mm-hmm. It's when you try to assert dominance and transact respect versus demonstrating respect and expecting it out of the people that you're working with. That's a major thing. I mean, I still have to learn that as a supervisor. Sometimes you just get so frustrated that you fail to remember that sometimes.
When I worked at DMV, I have found both things are necessary. Both skill sets are necessary. Because when I was at DMV and people would come up and I was nice and I was pleasant, the New York personalities would walk right over me. And now I lived in New York for a bit, and I understand how to interact with them. And that's, hey, shut up. I'm taking care of it, and I will fix it if you just give me a minute. They go, oh, okay, cool. I'll wait. Because you told them, sit down, shut up, you got this. So there's a point where the aggressive attitude works, but it's not a management style that if that's all you do, it's going to work at all.
Yeah. There's sometimes that, as an individual, you know how to deal with certain personality types. Like you, as you say, that is a perfect example. You respond to someone the way they expect to be responded to.
Right.
Sometimes in a work environment, you're not allowed to do that. I've noticed that somebody like that, if I respond to somebody in kind, I'm demonstrating the same inappropriate behavior.
Right.
So we have to develop tactics to say, okay, well, I understand how you're feeling, but stop being a douchebag and listen to reason. And that's a longer way around the mountains instead of over it. But, sometimes we have to demonstrate the passive and nurturing type, especially in HR, when you just really want to say, dude, really? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with work.
Absolutely.
Not my current job.
No, he is talking about dealing with the return counter at Walmart or any of that stuff. So
I worked in retail for many, many years before that, where it was far more appropriate. So, yeah, I'm talking about Kinko's and Target and other places where that was, yeah, fuck them because they're out of business or should be.
And the bottom line is, the people that you react to this way, you show them results at the end, and they'll never bitch about the treatment because they go, no, I got what I wanted. That's the bottom line. It's when you're incompetent and can't deliver what you say you will.
Yeah, that's the goal, man. Yeah. So, Buck Rogers pivot?
Go on. Okay, so now, before we got on the show, over the past 24, 48 hours, we've chit-chatted back channel a little bit. And you've mentioned Buck Rogers and message boards or forums, et cetera, et cetera. What are you doing? Who are you messing with, man?
I am anybody and everybody.
Okay, good.
Well, because like, getting back to the whole point of, I was getting bored with it really quick. It's hard to make fun of something or make something better than what's on the screen. So I'm not going to MST this whole thing. So I watched this video for Too Many Cooks on Adult Swim. Was out several years ago. If you're not familiar with it, it's an opening to a 90s sitcom that just never ends and gets weirder and more disturbing, and it's awesome. It's one of the best things I've ever seen on video. But as I'm writing this, I'm trying to remember the sequence of scenes in an episode, and as I'm doing that, I'm trying to interpret motive. So, like, why is Dr. Hewer thinking about things like such a dumbass here, and he's a brilliant scientist over here? And what is Dr. Hewer's job anyway? Is he in charge of the robots? Is he subordinate to the robots?
No, for those of you that don't remember,
fucking kill him?
In Buck Rogers. Now, this is the doctor in Buck Rogers. Am I remembering that correctly?
Dr. Hewer, yeah.
The
Dr. Hewer is the guy
who is in My Fair Lady as the friend to Rex Harrison. So he's the doddering old man who's a genius, but appears incompetent.
Yeah, and he walks into a scene and goes, blah, exposition. And Buck goes, I don't want to do that. And then Wilma goes, but there'll be chicks. And Buck goes, I'll do that. And then we go into the adventure.
Boo.
But Dr. Hewer just kind of nods. And then Twiki comes in, makes a pop culture reference. Dr. Hewer comes in and says something pithy. And then we go to stock footage of spaceships blowing themselves up. And I got tired of doing that by episode 5. And I realized if you watch Buck Rogers, the first episode is now 2 hours long because it's based on the film.
Right.
Which was actually supposed to be a 2-hour TV movie, but they released it theatrically first. And then the first episode is a 2-parter.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another 2-parter. So this is like a Bataan death march to get through just this, what is essentially a 1979 schlockfest. I love Gil Gerard. I love Aaron Gray. There's some great moments. But they didn't know who they were writing for. They didn't know. I mean, they were subjects of slavery and racism. And in one of the episodes, actually, I think the first hour-long episode, where they go to a planet called Vistula, because someone's poisoning all of Earth's food discs, and they only eat food discs that are processed on other planets for some stupid reason.
Soylent Green.
It very well could be, and part of the planet's ruled by the typical comic book madman,
right?
And they have slavery on this planet. This Earth Directorate representative buys people from this madman, and he's like, "Yeah, that's cool. It works out for everybody." The man to his left is an African American. The woman across from him is an African American star pilot from Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Buck goes, "Slavery? You have slavery here." The African American woman, the space pilot across from him, goes, "Slavery?" Like she's never heard the concept before. I'm like, what the fuck happened in 500 years? That the concept of slavery being bad has been erased from consciousness. And they treat it like everything else. When Buck Rogers makes a reference to like a grilled cheese sandwich, Will makes a big deal of, what's a grilled cheese sandwich? And that becomes a running gag. So by the time you get to slavery, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, guys.
See,
so all of that.
I have a logical arc of how you can get from now to 500 years from now.
Okay.
We've already seen how changing certain facts or omitting certain facts in history books and redirecting attention somewhere else. So if we look at our lower class and the growth of the lower class, the disappearing middle class, and the swelling of wealth in the top whatever percent you want to quote, it's easy enough to foster ignorance in your lower class, your masses. So over 500 years, basically, you've yanked that history out of the cultural memory.
Yeah, you can do
Now,
that.
if the show gave that as exposition, it'd be a different story. And maybe you'd be like, oh, I see what happened here. Basically, the masses were ignorant, and the leaders, the rulers who had all the money, went, now they don't realize they're actually essentially slaves.
That's true. I guess in name, if you think about it that way, they might have a different word for it, probably a positive word for it.
Yeah, like
I think
like coworker.
Yeah, that's true. But the concept itself it derives from the most primitive cultures, where you dominate someone and force them to do your will without compensation. So the act of slavery shouldn't be foreign to them.
I agree.
But I guess if they took time to wipe out even the concept of football, which is its own stupid scene in this series.
I remember that in Flash Gordon.
You want us to put a ball on our foot? No, jackass. That's not how this works. But anyway, as I'm writing this, I realized that I'm not adding anything new except snark. So I began writing my own scenes into the text. And the first, it started out as just kind of misinterpreting the scene and mishearing words. But at some point, I just said, I am so bored with this episode. It was the last one I read, and it's so boring I can't remember it off the top of my head. But anyway, at some point, it's the two-parter Plot to Kill a City with the great Frank Gorshin and
the Riddler.
Yeah, who's on lithium through the whole thing. So he's not even performing. He's no physical comedy. But there's a point where I just got so bored. I said, okay, Buck's off world. So Dr. Theopolis and Tweaky go to Buck's man cave, and they throw a party. And I'm describing it in the same voice as the rest of it. They go to the Buck's party, or they set up a party at Buck's quarters. They invite a bunch of people over, and they use artificial computer viruses recreationally. Tweaky starts to hallucinate, converts Buck's heating unit into a flamethrower, and when he sees a swarm of bees descend on the party, he murders everyone in the fucking room. I just let it go.
Okay, I like it. It's not even being nice. That's good.
And the next paragraph is, and Frank Gorshin goes back to underacting again, and Buck makes a quip about the 20th century, yada, yada. And I don't revisit it for like a couple more paragraphs. And then I come back to it. Dr. Theopolis has employed some people to clean up the bodies and cover up the evidence, and then it just goes on from there. So that's what I've been doing with my time, because I just got bored with Buck Rogers. I gotta say, I love this series because I'm a kid and it reminds me of so many things. One of the things I do is I point out every time Buck tries to poison Wilma and Dr. Hewer with some kind of 20th century cuisine that never works. He irradiates grapes and creates wine that sucks. He makes chili out of reptile meat. He does a bunch of other things. So I just mark that as kind of a Buck's culinary failures at the end of each episode. And then what is Wilma wearing? And then describing the different outfits. And are they practical? Or do they serve a purpose? Or are they just eye candy? And then I do Gil Gerard sings the hits, because there are a number of episodes where Gil just belts out some show tune or something. Yeah. And it just makes stupid mess with that.
I'm going to interrupt here. Mo, good to see you. Mo has redeemed a dad joke. So what does an annoying pepper do? It gets jalapeno face.
What?
Sorry.
I missed the punchline. What?
It gets jalapeno face.
Oh.
So I could do a different one that's a little better. Well, worse. It's easier.
None of them are better.
I used to hate facial hair, but then it grew on me. So anyhow, okay. So you know what I'm thinking? You need to, once you finish this or get to a certain point, if you're still going on with it, I think you could sell this whole concept if they could get the rights to do it. I think you could sell it to Adult Swim or Netflix as almost a. You ever seen Red Hot Summer? It's a Netflix.
Red Hot Summer?
What's the full?
No, it's Red Hot Wet Hot American Summer.
Yes, I've seen all of them.
So
awesome.
imagine Buck Rogers done in that style with your writing.
Oh my God.
That would be
awesome.
See, that's what I'm getting out of this.
We could bring Gil Gerard and Aaron Gray back as they are now, but pretend it's season 3 and they're back on Earth. But keep the budget unadjusted for inflation, so they only get like $300,000 per episode to do stuff.
Oh God!
And here's what I recommend.
That would be amazing.
Gil Gerard needs to do 2 roles. He needs to play Buck and the Doctor.
Oh, wow! Wow!
Get writing. Let's make this happen.
That's an idea. Yeah, well, that's a committee. I can see pitching that to Gil at a convention. Gil Gerard, I got a project for you. Sit down and listen to this. It's you and it's Aaron.
When you sell it and it's going in production, you come back on the show and we'll promote it.
And pimp it. Okay. We'll throw more ideas at you that you could go, no, that's even too bad for this one. Don't talk anymore.
I appreciate your enthusiasm for this project. I'll definitely tap you for notes.
I think there's a market for it. If Seth can make, Family Guy and the Orville, this is nothing but the 2 put together.
Yeah, well, Seth has got a lot of free time. He doesn't have a day job to worry about.
That's true.
Yeah.
Toei says robot can be a Roomba with a bobblehead on top.
Now, Twiggy or the other robot that Twiggy wore, like Bling? I think that needs to be Flavo Flav style. Yeah. Just put some clock hands on it.
I blew the Flava Flav joke in the first episode recap, and I went, okay, now that I've gotten this out of the way. a talking plate that looks like Flava Flav's favorite clock. Something stupid like that.
So, yeah, it's there. See, there's room for this.
Yeah. Always options. We could workshop this, guys. We could work out, which 70s and 80s villain is still alive out there. Villainous actor is still alive out there. We could wheel into the set.
Or
Shatner,
work for
scale or food.
Well, not Shatner then. We're going to go much further, like G or Q list people.
I want to go back and get the classics. The old Batman villains. They're not all around. We couldn't get. Julie Newmar is no longer working. I think the rest of them have all passed, with a few exceptions.
Yeah, that's what I'm also thinking of going like the Walter Matthau crew, which I realize they weren't villains, but it's that era and that comedy style.
Yeah.
But
if you look at Universal Television at that era, it's a company of players that jumped from Battlestar Galactica to Buck Rogers, and they were BJ and the Bear and a bunch of Marky Post. We can get Marky Post back.
That's true. Do you remember Voyagers?
Yeah.
With Phineas Bogg and the kid jumping through time with the red and green grenade thing?
Yeah.
Or how about Jake and the Golden Monkey? Is that what it was called?
Tales of the Golden Monkey?
That's
with
it.
The child molester from the Family Show? Yeah.
Okay.
And who played Deckard in Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
You know what? You could just create a second chance program, and your villains could be people like Beretta, Robert. What's his name? Robert Blake. He could be one of the villains, and Bill Cosby could be a villain. And
no,
yeah,
I'm not writing that check. No. They're not working for me.
It wouldn't be a check.
I have money.
It'd be a work release program.
Okay.
They're doing this based on good behavior and lack of pharmaceuticals.
I like that. Yeah. Well, they could all go into the same prison. We could set up a studio there and make them work for recreation that way.
By the way,
terms of service.
Toei says, just see who's signing at con tables. That'll tell you what 70 stars are still alive.
Oh my God! Yes,
true story.
Yeah, it's a rogues gallery, man. You're absolutely right. I've gone to Dragon Con, and Dragon Con is over a bunch of different hotels.
Mhm.
I was there as a guest, and there are guests, and then there are guests.
Right.
So you have a bunch of celebrities, awesome people who are right out there in the open. You know, anybody can come up and talk to them, but the other ones are behind a vault door. You can't get to them without a ticket. But yeah, it's like this child star, but he's grown up. And we have this thing called the
You going to get Jake Lloyd in there?
I don't know, man. I didn't like him when he was a kid, so I don't know.
Well, he's bitter. He's bitter and angry now.
That's a shame. I feel bad for him.
He's like,
that
Star
happened
Wars
to many
ruined my
kids.
life. I'm like, well, other people made it through, so maybe there's another thing you're not taking into consideration here.
You know, kid, Warwick Davis is doing fine. You know, he was just a kid when he started. He's in Solo now, so I think that makes his 29th Star Wars related appearance, even though there's only like 9, 10 movies.
Right.
But yeah, we have this thing called the Mid-Atlantic Nostalgia Con, which is a fantastic con if you're into old-time radio. And my son, he's a huge fan of Adam 12.
Really?
And last year, he loves that. He won't watch the modern stuff, but Adam 12 was his jam.
Okay.
And he's watched all the episodes. Kent McCord appeared at this convention, and we went down and into this ballroom. Kent McCord's right there. And to him, it's like me meeting Harlan Ellison or J.J. Abrams. Well, not J.J. Abrams, whatever. Or Aaron Sorkin. But yeah, these guys are out there, and so you should see guys of our age going, it's that girl from that movie who wore that thing when we were 18, and she's in her 70s. Like, oh my God, she's still amazing. And you start to drool, and you wait in line for 20 minutes to go, hey, pretty lady, hi, sign book. And, it's
great.
It's a thing. Yeah.
Well,
but yeah,
thank
it's a
God we
great
have
experience,
IMDb, so now we can look up the other two things they did and comment on something else.
Yeah. I saw Robert Conrad there last year, and he's, I remember him from Battery on the Shoulder days and Baba Black Sheep Squadron. And he's up in years, and I just felt like that's my grandfather now. I see him at an advanced age, and he's still got that fire in his eyes and that chin.
Because you go gentle on him, because like if you see Tim Curry now, you don't want to come at him all excited. You want to come at him like, hey man, I like what you did.
My wife just met him. He was at a con in New Jersey.
Wow.
They screwed up. They overbooked, and so she had to wait 6 hours to spend 30 seconds with him. But she will tell you it was the great 30 seconds of just being in his presence, and he was so gracious. And he's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
He had a major stroke. So it was great that he was putting in 6 hours over 2 days to meet people who had lined up to see him. Whereas, Sean Astin and the Green Power Ranger, and some other folks, they were doing 1 hour in and out.
Well, it's like Stan Lee when he's at a con. And I know sitting in a chair might not sound like hard work, but yeah, sitting in a chair, meeting hundreds of people and being genuine and pleasant for that whole time, that's exhausting.
That's hard.
Yeah, it is.
It's
he's really turned a corner, because he used to not like to associate with his fans after Rocky Horror because they were kind of weird fringe people. But like Shrek folks, he has embraced that love and that support, which I think is wonderful.
Oh, sorry, cat on my lap with claws. Yeah, that's G-Raff.
What's up?
He's ignoring you.
Take ours to the vet today.
Oh, is he okay?
I think she's got an abscess tooth. We have to take a look at it. She's getting up there in age. She's a polydactyl. She's got like 27 claws in her front paws.
Oh my goodness!
So she makes waking up special.
Wow.
It's awesome. She's a great cat. We have a Bombay named Natasha who's
Pretty
also
cats.
A cat.
By the way, Toei says, been to Dragon Con 15 times, and then a few minutes later added, my two favorite celebrity meets were with Terry Gilliam and Barry Bostwick.
Wow, that's two different worlds, but yeah.
You know, one of my favorite shows with Barry Bostwick, Spin City with Michael J. Fox. I just love his character, or Mayor, I think he was in that. Yeah, I just enjoyed that.
I know, Kitty. Kitty make noise.
Yeah, that's one of our sound effects.
Okay.
Play.
Yeah, for every 10 minutes people stay on our stream, they get 2 shots to redeem for like dad jokes and sound effects and crazy things.
Oh, okay.
Toei had Barry autographed a Spin City photo. Good job.
Oh,
well done.
Nice.
It's
nice.
Yeah, I don't like to go for the one big thing they're known for. I like to appreciate them for more than just, that one thing. When I meet somebody who's done various things. I tell you what, we met, oh my goodness, I knew his name 3 minutes ago, Q, John
Delancey.
John Delancey.
Yeah.
And we walked up.
He was
and
very nice.
We were there as press. And I walked up to buy a photo and get it signed for, I think it's for you, Andrea, right? Was it for you?
No, it was for my friend for her birthday.
Okay. And I mentioned I have a buddy who's a brony and loves My Little Pony, which Delancey voices one of them. I think Discord. Yeah. And mentioned ex-military, and he's got damage and whatnot. And John just pulled out that brony picture and signed it. They give that to your friend. What's his name? And he signed it straight to him, and I got to mail it off to him. So
cool.
That was very nice.
He was very nice. Yeah,
he didn't charge for that one. And you just got to appreciate somebody that shows a little give a damn about the fans.
Yeah, most of them do. I've found that they're committing to the weekend. They know that they're going to make money in some way or another. But a lot of them will. There's a convention up here called Farpoint. It's in near Baltimore.
Heard of it?
Oh yeah. So you see the celebrities walking around with the people and hanging out, and it's great because there's no pretense there. There's no mobbing. I signed books next to David Gerald, and it wasn't a wall between us, and you could talk to people. Nick Myers was on one side, and it's not like we became best buddies, but it's just like, wow, thanks for putting me in with these dudes because someone's actually paying attention to me. Usually asking me questions about those two guys, but I'm fine to do that as well.
We met. Oh, sorry. Go on.
I met George R. R. Martin in Tucson.
Pretty decent guy, isn't he?
He signed my coloring book.
Did he? He was great. I went to a small convention, and he had an entourage. He was getting death threats at the time.
Oh, no.
Because of his opinions on the election. So he had a security detail at this con. My friend Will and I were scheduled to sign in a certain area an hour before he did his signing. We thought this is epic because everyone's going to line up and we're going to be able to sell our stuff. But security came up and said, no, we need to cordon off this area before he arrives. And it was like the president was coming, man. It was, they had to come up and they're going, who are you? Author guy, I'm nothing. And they cut off the line. So we're all sitting up there in this platform. There's like 5 authors, and they bring out this throne, this magnificent purple throne. They put it out there, and then they bring out this table, and they lovingly put out this can of Diet Coke. And this is all like a half an hour before he shows up. And all of these people around us, and we're sitting there. We're not allowed to leave, but we can't sell a damn book. And we can't get up to go, here's the book. So we just sit there and we interview each other on Facebook Live and whatever. And then the moment arrives, he comes in, and you could tell he wants to talk to people. Because, he knows, he wants to greet everybody that's around, or just, say hello, and he waves.
What he's there for.
Yeah, and he is escorted to his throne, and that's what it is, by security people. And they stand at attention beside him, like he's the president for the entire hour he was there. He came up to me, and he looks at my book, he looks at me, and I have these little stuffed zombie bears on my table that go along with the book to kind of a conversation piece or to keep the kids quiet when they're...
Do you have one you can show us?
Sell their books. I don't.
Get it. Okay, don't worry about it. Go on.
But he comes up, and my only interaction with him is he looks at that, looks up at me, and goes, "Wah!" He walks to his throne and sits down, and I'm no longer in his universe. Did he just penguin me? What the fuck just happened? And I look at Will. Was that a laugh? Was that a penguin thing? He goes, I don't know, man, but he looked at you. You're now immortal or something. I don't know. And then I was in this giant man who he's made DC Harder, another author, but head of security, comes up to me and goes, "It's time for you to leave now, Mr. Smith." See ya. I'm out of here. Took my shit, grabbed up my zombie bears. I'm out of there. And I ran into him at the after party. Well, I ran into him physically. I didn't actually interact with him. And I think for a split second I was in fear for my life from security, but they knew me, so I was good. And I wasn't drinking at that time, so it was all good. So that's my George R. R. Martin story.
It's
great.
One of our favorite celebrity meets, and I speak for both of us, I think, pretty well here, is we were working with a few people. We met Brett and Spiner, the original Power Rangers, the Japanese folks. But William Kircher, who played Biffer on The Hobbit, was there, and we took some photos with him. He was actually on the throne from Game of Thrones, and we were kneeling in front of him and staring adoringly. Then we went up to his table afterwards and went, "Hey, great picture. Wanted to know if you needed a copy for yourself, if it's something you'd want." And he's like, "Oh, no." And then Andrea says, "So, did you actually sing in The Hobbit?" And instead of answering her, he started singing Misty Mountains to her.
Nice.
I just died right
she
there.
She just stared and melted. I went, "Well, somebody's getting laid tonight." But he was a good meet. Yeah. And when I went, "Hey, can I do, a quick video for my son, because he couldn't make it?" And he's like, "Absolutely, turn on your phone." And he spoke straight to the camera. Yeah. He's actually in our refill break now. It has the picture that I just described, and it's got his little voiceover of going, "This is William Kircher, and you're watching Talk of the Tavern."
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
That was before we were doing video, so I didn't think to do video. I just did a voice recording of him. But, so that's good time. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Either way, it was great.
Have you ever heard of the Chronic Rift?
Yes,
podcast?
But not enough to be familiar with it. But yes, I've heard of it.
Okay. John Drew he's done recap podcasts for Batman, $6 Million Man, and they talk about certain episodes, and they bring those
Where'd
actors
that movie
on.
go, by the way? Because they were going to redo that movie, $6 Million Man.
It's now the $6 Billion Man.
Yeah.
And it's been in turnaround for a long time. Yeah. Kevin Smith was attached to it at one point. I don't know where it is.
Okay, go on.
But he brings those guests on, and he meets them at cons, or he just up and emails them, and they're like, "Yeah, I'll come on and talk to you for an hour for nothing." I love doing this stuff. And he's turned that into a cottage business, and it's very insightful conversation. I know I sound like I'm plugging John, but I am.
Plug him.
Chronic
Rift
is a good show.
Give the website if you want. Whatever.
Chronicrift.com.
There we go.
You can find him on iTunes, and if you like Batman, if you want to talk about Burt Ward's middle age, you can find that there. If you want to talk about Bigfoot on $6 Million Man, there's an episode for that. It's a resident experts like authors Dayton Ward and a bunch of other folks will come on and bring expertise as opposed to just idle opinion like I typically do on his show. But it shows
I thought
how
this was insightful conversation we were having.
Oh well, you're doing great, man. I enjoy this.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's great that now, since we were kids, that tier of celebrity has kind of expanded to, you have this weekly show. It's on one of the 20,000 networks out there. And you can actually interact with these people on Facebook and Twitter, and they're not behind some magical wall. And that's great.
They are when I try to get them on as a guest.
Really?
I put the link to Chronic Rift in the chat for anybody that wants to check it out.
Cool.
See, the thing is, I'm probably aiming for the wrong area. I haven't thought to go for the classic stars. So that's actually a very good idea, because I do have interest and fond memories. By the way, Talking Toey says medical bills are so high, everyone's a $6 million man. Kind of true. Kind of true. Little heart surgery? Hey, you're almost there.
I was up there with the chin pube joke, I think.
Oh, no, that was head pube. Well, maybe they were talking about your chin.
It was a head
whatever.
Pube? Whatever.
And if we're going for chin pube, could have been either one of us then, huh?
Could be.
Maybe me.
It could be.
So cool. So where else you want to take this train, man?
So, did you have the big storm we had?
Oh.
No, sorry. We won't talk about the weather. Oh, let's see here. Where can we go? We have gone all over the place. Let me see if I have notes here. Andrew, you
Well,
go.
I do. Yeah, I just wanted to mention it's awesome that you do audio dramas because like a week or so ago, we were talking about doing a show.
Yeah.
Having like our viewers, our writer viewers, because we know people that write, each write a scene. And then we'll act it out and do our own little...
Like an audio drama, though we'd be on camera, they would be like watching us in studio. We wouldn't necessarily.
And we're not really actors. But it'll be entertaining.
That could be even more fun. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If that's what you and your audience is into, I think that's definitely worth an hour or two.
Somewhere between sketch comedy and audio drama.
Yeah. What kind of genre? What are you looking for? You gonna go steampunk or?
We're not. It's just we'll have different people submit a scene, and then we'll pick 3 of them, one for each hour.
Oh, okay. So not interconnected, separate, like one act or just vignettes or whatever. Okay. Yeah.
Just so people can show off their writing styles and our non-acting ability. You know.
I guess what I'll have to do is I'll have to build a file that's available for me to do sound effects during it, because MP3s are so much easier than chopping your celery for footsteps.
Yeah. You go to freesound.org is where we got most of our stuff.
I'm writing that down.
Oh, write that down.
It was awesome. I'm not sure. I haven't been there in a while, but that was where I think we got 80% of them for the first season before we got a brilliant Foley guy in.
So is there a certain way an audio drama has to be written as opposed to like screenplays or books or stories?
Yeah.
I know this.
There's a script format. There's actually an American one and a UK version. BBC has its own standards. I have a hybrid. I started writing my scripts before I found the US standard. But it's like a screenplay, very much like a screenplay where you interrupt dialogue with sound effects or what I tend to do, since I work with a remote cast and not in the same room, is I tend to add inflection or notes in the margins about performance and direction and stuff like that. But the format visually looks a lot like a screenplay.
Okay, good to know. Nice and easy. It's.
I will say my engineer. I will say something like, "The car explodes," and then my engineer will go, "Dude, what kind of car is it? What kind of explosion is it? Is it a gas? Is it a liquid explosion?" Or I'll say something like, "The entire world explodes." And he'll call me and go, "I don't know what you mean by that. What happens in this?" So I have to be a little bit more in depth, and I'll say something that sounds like the organs being pulled out of a live child's body. I have to be specific about what organs.
So it's a happy noise.
Yeah, it's a joyous noise. Yeah,
something upbeat.
And how long are these organs being pulled out, and how long? How loud? How close do you want the mic to it? I just want a squishy noise, Mike. You're awesome. Just go do this stuff. Yeah. But you have to put a level of detail to these effects that I haven't. The standard is let the engineer and the Foley guy figure it out. What effect do you want to achieve with the audience? What image are you trying to conjure in the listener's ear?
Apparently, Mike is a systems guy on the Dix list.
He is. Actually, H.G. Roll wouldn't have happened without him. I was using Play School brand equipment to edit my stuff.
Oh.
And Mike brought in Reaper, and he's the big sound guy. He's amazing. I wish I could work with him again. We've got our own projects now. And that was like the zeitgeist, just being there with him and a bunch of other awesome people. Because we would have those conversations, and those are the most awesome conversations to have, man, when you're sitting there going, so how do we want to kill this person? What's it going to sound like?
Thank God you don't have to Google those, huh?
I worry about my FBI file sometime, but but we've done that. It's like, what does it sound like to drown? And we've had hour-long conversations about, okay, well, are you gurgling? Well, no, technically you don't make a sound. Well, that doesn't translate to audio drama. We've got to have something. Okay, well, we can fudge that.
You've just got Jay's voice going, drowning noise, drowning noise, drowning noise.
That sometimes that's happened. We've allowed the rough cut to get into the wild.
By the way, Toei says I've always used the 2-column commercial script format for my projects. One column is for music FX, the other is for dialogue. That's a great idea. Now I want to ask you another question, and then before we go into our break, when we say goodbye, I want to give you one more chance to pitch whatever your next project is, or whatever you want to pimp before we go.
All right.
Well, before you go, we're staying the extra hour. So, as this HR guy, with your knowledge and apparently a bit of a interest and talent in judging people, but not in the judgy way, in the professional way. So, how often in public do you find yourself like just dissecting somebody's personality and motive and whatnot?
Always.
And what would that sound like?
Always. I mean, as a writer, I do that all the time. But yeah, you find, I think I do that. I think that's why I ended up in HR, is because as a writer, I look at people and I try to figure out their story.
I used to do that in the mall.
Oh yeah, now you can get arrested for that.
Yeah, well, yeah, as a teen, but I'd sit there and I'd look at people and I'd go, I think this is their story.
Yeah, and that lends itself. When you're sitting in an interview, you know how rigid and formal an interview is, and you can't get a whole lot out of somebody who's on their best behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in the private sector, the public sector, you have a certain formula you have to follow. And I don't know if this is true for every public sector, but you read a script, you get the answers, you make a decision, and you move on. Private sector, you can play around with them. And when I was in retail, I would be able to ask them questions like, so, we got a guy who smokes weed here. You guys think you guys would get along? We didn't have anybody working, who smoked weed there, but it was just kind of like, oh, really? And you could tell by that answer where we would go with the next question. Yeah, what kind of weed are you into? And they'll assume the interview's over. We would just be going down that rabbit hole, literally. Yeah.
See, my answer to that is I get along with everybody. I don't interact with people outside of work. And that's the truth.
Yeah. So honestly, though, we weren't really screening for high skill sets at that point. We were just, if you had a pulse and you showed up and, you knew which end of the mop goes down, you got the job.
Yeah, really, for any young people watching this later down the road, showing up is the first great quality of any employee. Showing up.
Show up on time.
Yeah.
Show up your interview on time. Don't overdo it on the sir or ma'am, but don't say sup. Don't call me brah. You can use my first name. If you want to tell me your life story, wait till after the interview, because I don't care. I'm going to have 12 of you in that chair, and I really don't think I'm going to like any of you, really, because I have to be very critical. I might like you socially, but I've got $50,000 I need to spend on a position in terms of income and benefits, and that's how I see you. Are you worth that money to me? And are you going to do something so profoundly stupid that I'll either lose my job or have to make up some excuse as to why your naked ass is on one of my copying machines at 3 o'clock in the morning in front of a nun who's just trying to get her Sunday stuff done?
So wait a minute. Making a YouTube video isn't in that list of options?
Of what? I'm sorry.
when you're looking at somebody,
Of your naked butt.
Are you going to pay that? Are you going to earn that money that I'm giving you, or am I going to catch you at 3 a.m.? And what I'm thinking is, if I catch somebody at 3 a.m. with their naked butt, I'm coming in with the camera going, because that's going on YouTube.
Yeah, I think that's happened. Yeah, you have stories when you're in HR and you're in retail management. I'm sure you all have stories, but you're the one who does the fact finding, and I sent a child molester to jail because he would come in the middle of the night and look up kiddie porn on our public computers.
Good times.
And there's that end of the spectrum to, we had 2 coworkers who had sex in the manager's office on the manager's desk. And you have to go in and go, well, tell me about what happened last night at 3 o'clock in the morning, or do you want to watch the video and have that uncomfortable conversation? But yeah, in the back of my head as a writer, I'm going, that's a story. I want to know what the motivation is.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's like, why did you go there instead of going, let's go anywhere else?
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Like the broom closet. Something.
Why is his blotter damp? That's just wrong, guys.
He's going to need a new calendar. We can't read what that appointment was now.
Yes, that's pretty much it.
It's okay. So pimp your stuff. Let people know what you want them to know, and then we will graciously kick you off and thank you.
Oh, thank you. My last book, my latest book, is the first in a series. I pitch it as if you imagine Neil Gaiman as the head of a Las Vegas sex cult, and it's a front for human trafficking. And this underworld society, ruled by this Neil Gaiman type, is all based on a role-playing game. That everyone in the society has an identity. It's like the Society for Creative Anachronism, but in a LARPing scenario.
In a perving LARPing scenario.
Yes.
Nice.
And the story is set up that one man is assigned to try and bring this guy down, but he dies. So all of the evidence is put into the hands of his best friend. But his best friend is all he's ever accomplished in life, is beating cancer. And he's got the personality and assertiveness of Mark Maron. So he's kind of this reasonably personality Fletch type character who's going up against
as in
Neil
Chevy
Gaiman
Chase Fletch?
Yes.
Okay.
Trying to bring down this empire. So there's pop culture references, cosplay references. It's modeled on Dragon Con and San Diego Comic-Con and the Vegas culture and casino and resort life. And I'm really proud of it.
This is out now, right?
Oh, it's been out for a year. It's called The Resurrection Pact, Volume 1 of the Winston Casey Chronicles. If you like Neil Stephenson and the size of his books, you'll enjoy this. It involves virtual worlds. It takes place in both the real world and in the shared multiplayer online game that this resort is based on. And the resort is based on a series of books that the bad guy has written over the course of years. That is the foundation for this cult. So it's kind of George R.R. Martin meets Dianetics, and Neil Gaiman being a sex god, and all sorts of stuff.
I tell you what, if your personality comes through, hey Des, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining us in a bit.
And I put his link in our chat, which is jsmithaudio.com, and you can follow him on Twitter at @andrewsmith.
And if your personality comes through in your writing, I think I will really enjoy it.
I hope you do. It's on sale on Amazon right now. If you have a Kindle, it's $1.99 for the next 3 days.
There we go.
Coffee's more expensive. The book is $16, but save a tree.
There we go.
I still get residuals. It's all good.
Jay, thank you.
If you see me in person, it's $10. All right.
Oh, there we go.
Thank you for having me, man.
Absolutely, and then let us know if you
thank
need more attention at some point in time, and I'll contact you about the D&D thing.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Okay, here's our refill break, and say goodbye to Jay.
Bye, Jay.
Sit right back and
Bye,
relax,
everybody.
or get up and get a drink and refill.
Thank
what
you guys.
have.
That was awesome.
It's fun. Now, we are talking over our refill break, so just keep in mind everybody can hear us also.
Oh,
but yeah, it doesn't block our
You're all
sound.
awesome.
Okay.
His people will call your people, says Des.
This is Gail Carragher, author of the
So
Finishing
go have a
School
great
and the
day and
Custard
be
Protocol
productive,
series,
and
you're
I will
listening to
harass you
Talk
again
of the
at some
Tavern.
point, okay?
This is Aiden Sivart,
All right, man.
Steampunk.
Thanks again, guys.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Hey, this is Scott.
This is Samantha.
And we're Frenching the Punk.
I'm Karen Kay, also known as the Fairy Lady and editor of Fae Magazine, and also founder of Fairy Events.
This is K.W. Jeter, author of Infernal Devices and Fiendish Schemes.
Kircher here. I play Bifur in the Hobbit trilogy, and you are listening to Talk of the Tavern.
This is Trevor Crafts, executive producer and creator of Lantern City.
This is Lord Bobbins of TeslaCon. Huzzah!
Steampunk Funk Bizarre here, Lord Monty, right in front of your radio.
Hello, this is Professor Elemental. When I'm not taking a bath in gin or trying to invent a new kind of badger, I'm listening. Oh, yes!
This is Stephen Davis of Raising Steam UK, 2-day steampunk festival in Reading. Enjoy.
I'm Thomas Williford of Brute Force Studios, and you're listening to Talk of the Tavern.
This is Commander Bob of Victor Sierra.
Je suis la légendaire princesse convertie de Victor Sierra.
Hi, my name is Sarah from Valentine Wolf.
Hey, this is Braxton from Valentine Wolf.
This is Aileen the Peacemaker, the founding editor of Beyond Victoriana, the multicultural steampunk blog.
Hey, this is Joseph C.R. Vortek, otherwise known as Electro Swing Neo Vintage DJ Vortek, and you're listening to Talk of the Tavern. I hope you come out of it in one piece. I'm not sure I did.
And don't forget about our other shows during the week. Tuesday, Middle Age Gamers on Wednesday, and Virtual International Pub VIP on Thursdays. Make sure you join us there, 1 p.m. Eastern to 4 p.m.
Hi, my name is Ashley Rogers. I'm the organizer of the Copper Claw.
This is Calamity Dawn, mixologist of Airship Passepartout.
This is Commodore Lorpicar of Lost Saints Curiosities.
This is Jimmy Diggs of the Crypto Historians, reminding you that the future is in your hands.
This is Gabrielle Reel.
Hi, this is D. Clarence Snyder, writer of the Bright Future series, and you are listening to Talk of the Tavern.
This is Professor Marcus O'Bannon, the Chief Scientific Investigator for the Crypto Historians.
This is Lady Gatita of Nerdvana.
Hey, this is Angie Velo from Ghostfire.
This is Hannah Titania, Queen of the Fairies.
This is Jeff Platt of Highland Steamworks.
Okay, cutting that refill video breakdown, I am going to rearrange our screens now. So we'll move Andrea a little, and we'll pop me. Oh, no, that's not it. Hold on. I'm touching the wrong thing. There we go. We'll just pop me right up there and make me bigger, if you know what I mean. So, you know what? Greg Chapman of The Last Airship, and I forget the name of his current project that they just started, but I know it's very educational and aquatic and informational and of course, entertaining because it's them. He contacted me just a few days ago, and he's like, hey, Travis, I'm going to be doing these events and interviewing people randomly. Do you want some video footage? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. What? And I'm like, let's get on Skype and chit-chat for a few minutes. And we couldn't do that, but we kind of worked it out via text today. Apparently, he's going to do interviews, but the stuff he can't use for his show that's a little inappropriate, more our level than his level, he's going to send it over to me. And I told him he's got to put the intro on there of, we're getting toasted at Talk of the Tavern, or I'm here for Talk of the Tavern, or whatever, just mentioning Talk of the Tavern. And I told him I need them 5 minutes long. But yeah, we might get some Greg Chapman interviews that I get to piece together for new refill breaks. And also, if you guys are getting...
Oh, that'll be fun.
It will. It's and then I have the videos from our crew, the Talk of the Tavern crew, of various short videos.
I just want to throw out there, any of our viewers, our awesome viewers, that is you. If you would like to make a little video and send it over saying you're getting toasted at Talk of the Tavern, you might make it into the refill break.
Yeah, and you'll see these come up, and it's going to be an ongoing thing, so I always have new material coming in, so you don't have to see the same refill break every time. But we did one when we were at a cigar shop the other day. We did one at our party here. Ed doesn't like to show his face on the videos, but you'll see his drink with this beautiful scenery behind the drink. Waterfalls or mountainscapes, or he's at the beach this week, and I know he's doing some more. Elizabeth in front of Radio City Music Hall, on the subway at Google.
Crazy stuff.
We've got all these things coming up. So Mo, Toei, I'm looking at you.
Hey Mo, when you're at the Greek Fest.
Yeah, a bit of a selfie cam. This is Mo Moeller of whatever project you're working on du jour, and I'm getting toasted at Talk of the Tavern, or you're getting toasted at Talk of the Tavern, or you're watching it. Make it yours. If you can get a group of people behind you to shout Talk of the Tavern. Des was in one, right? He's in the one at the party here, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, feel free to do that and send that over. Groups are better than individuals, but individuals are good too, just because it shows the community. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
We know you can do it, Mo.
Yeah. Awesome. You know what? And
that's awesome, Toei.
Toei, if you want, do one on your show and then clip it or highlight it and download that single file so it's got your whole show on the screen and you're in the corner. That's cool too. It's about...
I think Angela's at SuperCon is going to be at SuperCon also.
Yeah, I think so. It's and I don't know if you guys were... I know Mo was watching yesterday. Toei, I don't think you stopped in yesterday, but we had Dana Buffet on, and she's starting a Twitch channel, mostly gaming, but I suspect it will creep into belly dancing, makeup, and other things down the road. And we're
she's just starting out, so
we're looking to support her too. Yes. Just because that's the big thing about the show, but the refill breaks can accent that and go, we're about the community, and the community is about us, showing that it's more than a handful of people on a screen. It's everybody. So let's see. Now we have an hour of content to fill.
Well, I was gonna say, going on the videos, Toey, when you do it, pimp your Twitter channel, or not Twitter, Twitch channel, because we may not be appropriate for yours, but you're appropriate for ours, and we can pimp you that way.
Absolutely.
Also, any of our viewers, if you want to write a scene to be acted out on the Monday Night Talk of the Tavern for an audio drama, send us your submissions. We'll pick 3 scenes, 1 for each hour.
You know what? I want to talk about the upcoming shows, because we have something coming up here, because I've started scheduling the shows, and now I don't just schedule Mondays, but we have all the others. But 3 weeks from now, and I don't know, Modern Mystic, are you still with us? Because there was one show in particular, when I saw your name, I thought you might like it. Nope, Modern Mystic has left the building, according to the list.
Building.
But,
yeah, who knows?
So, this Monday we have Cult Movies and Musicals with Charming Underclothes. The week after...
Mo, you send it to Talk of the Tavern. It's Talk of the Tavern at Gmail, right, Travis?
Correct.
Okay, Talk of the Tavern at gmail.com. You can send your submissions.
Or, Mo, if you want to, you know me personally, you could send it via Facebook Messenger, as long as it's not too big to fit in there. That's fine. But for anybody else, yes, talkofthetavern at gmail.com. 2 weeks from now, we have Consent Culture, Call-Out Culture, Towing the Line. The week after that, we got talking behind the scenes after Monday, where, Elizabeth and Kevin were chatting with Andrea and I via Facebook Messenger, and they're like, wow, you're really making lemonade out of shit because of the trees falling and the damage that we received. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's... And we got talking about positive and negative energy and how this actually influences the world or your life or your perception of it. So 3 weeks from now, we're going to do, on Monday nights, Philosopher's Pub, energy, positive and negative. And in the third hour, we're going to try to slip
the schedule changed? All right.
Well, yeah, there was nothing. We had a guest there who has moved to a Wednesday.
Oh, that's right. Gotcha. Anyway, go ahead.
The week after that, Star Wars fandom. I think we could do 3 hours on Star Wars.
Is it going to just be Star Wars?
For that one, because all the other ones we could branch into on separate shows, if it's enough to talk about.
Gotcha.
But with Ed and Kevin and, well, all of us, all 5 of us, I think we could do Star Wars for a couple hours without a problem.
I'll talk about porks.
Yeah, and Ed will scowl at you.
Adorable. Yeah, I don't care.
But I do have a lot of other stuff set up that I have to put into place. But we already very easily have stuff scheduled till the end of July.
We get booked up pretty quickly. Like this month, we only had 1 opening, and then that was filled.
Yeah.
So.
It's and that's that's all 4 days per week that we have filled through the end of the month, and then as we go on into June, I'm about to fill up Mondays, and I have kind of taken a break on pulling new people in because of why is that flashing? Oh, okay, it's a separate. I have a Skype message on a different thing here, and I'm not going to go look at it because we're in the middle of the show, and in case somebody's like, "You're horrible," or whatever.
Oh, it's not the one I have access to, so I can't tell you.
I could just look. We could be rebellious. Let's do that. I'm so curious. Oh, it's Jared saying, thanks again, gracious hosts. So he was good. I enjoyed him.
He's fun. I'm looking forward to when we get off of here listening to some of the audio dramas, because I don't have to sit and look at it. I can listen to it.
And Mo says, are you guys still up for talking about Dementia toward the beginning of June? Hold on 1 second, and we are going to schedule you in. Okay. When does it launch? Because we have the 5th, or I'm sorry, 5th, 6th, the 6th, Wednesday the 6th open, if that's good for you, and that's after the launch. I'd really like to do it after the launch so it's live and we can send people directly to what you're doing.
Yes.
We've already done the prelude thing. Now we need to have it going.
During.
So let us know if on the 6th it will be up and going. If not, the next Wednesday after that is available. So we could definitely put you on that. And let's see, I'm trying to think, it's because we do have Tara, Mo's mother, coming on in 1 week from today.
Okay.
So Fairy Culture next Thursday with Karen Kay, who
Yes.
publishes Fae Magazine.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Sean Durrington is the day before. Next Tuesday, Night Watch Paradox, Andy Hunt, Andrew Stainer. And then, of course, I already mentioned Monday. So it's the 6th works. It launches on the 1st. Okay, hold on. I'm going to type here just to get that in. We're just put Mo and dementia. So yeah, we'll talk all about that, and we'll talk a little more about your personal experience and whatever else we want. You know how the show goes. I have notes from yesterday. Oh, the reason I mentioned Dana is yesterday's show, Toei, was very similar to today's show in format, in that we were just all over the place having a great time. Just a very real conversation that flowed very naturally and smooth.
Well, we talk about their stuff, but then we talk about them and just other interests.
It's my favorite kind of show, is when we're just, we get to meet the people and hang out with the person instead of the whatever they're pushing. Though we do, of course, want to cover that too. Thank you.
I'm just throwing bits.
I'm just finishing my cigar. I have notes from yesterday. I still need to look up those Solo cups, because apparently Solo the movie and the Red Solo cups are doing a marketing thing together. I want to add Hail Caesar to Netflix if it's on there, because I wanted to see it, but I just hadn't heard anything about it. I got to read my own handwriting sometimes. So there we go. I need to contact Michael about doing a couple pictures for the coloring book.
There you go.
So, I did not sleep a lot last night.
I'm sorry.
My eyes are burning a little. No, it's okay. It's my own fault. I went to bed at 2:30, and then at 7:30 this morning, I woke up to something crashing to the ground and Andrea swearing loudly and yelling at a cat. And
Harryhausen cat decided to knock my phone off my nightstand across the room.
And I was in the middle of REM sleep because I was having a dream, and this interrupted dream, and I literally leapt up and out of bed and was immediately 40% awake. Which Andrea then went, it's okay. But my heart was like, and I'm like, okay, nothing's happening.
Like, no, it's not.
But then I got up and walked around, and I did lay back down. But after like a half hour of laying there, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get up and work. So I got some work done this morning. And I still have the book that I'm editing up behind the video screen here. So as soon as I'm done with this, I can start working on that. Okay, I guess you're done, aren't you? I shouldn't try anymore. Unless if I want to... Oh, my cigar. I'm talking to the cigar. I could get... Hold on, let me do this. I have them. I might as well use them, right? We'll just
yeah, why not?
Pull this out. And this is what you call nubbing a cigar, because you just got a nub left. So you put it on a little poker, which in my case, it's a corn on the cob holder. The problem with these
is... It's a cigar holder.
It is now. It heats up so much that you're pulling in extra heat. I've got to burn off my mustache. We'll do it this way. It's But yeah, that was definitely a good show, and I'm, as much as I enjoyed his company, and I wish he had stayed the last hour, I'm okay with him not staying the last hour, so we could just sit back and relax and kind of have the last hour of the week be very...
Okay, you know how we were talking about the Star Wars character Myers-Briggs thing?
Did you take the test?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Not on that site because they want like so much money. But when I was in school, I took the test, so I already know what my thing is. So apparently I'm Leia Organa, the executive.
Does it give personality traits?
It does. Assertive, strategic, and decisive with a natural desire to lead, intelligent and well-informed, value knowledge and competence, are quick to see illogical and insufficient systems, and develop intelligent solutions in response, characterized by their ability to lead confidently and reach goals with excellence. Who knows? I never thought that would be me, but all right.
I'm wondering if I would get the Porg or maybe the Trash Monster from A New Hope.
That's not on this list.
Oh. So if I click on the link you posted earlier, can I take the test there? Is that my test link?
You can take it there, but they're going to charge you $60.
Oh my!
Google Myers-Briggs free test.
Now I know the Myers-Briggs thing, but the Star Wars. So Myers-Briggs.
No, it's a chart. It tells you which your personality. You take the Myers-Briggs, and it gives you your letter personality thing, and then you take those letters and you connect it to the chart.
Hold on a second. I'm just going to pull up the Star Wars chart then, because I already.
Do you want me to post the link again? I'll post the link again.
Got it right here. I just got to remember what I was. I know it began with I. Wow, that's really small. I can't read that.
If it begins with I, there's like 2 of them. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Palpatine.
And Luke.
Is it in there?
Oh, okay. On the one I found. Yeah, there's... I think I am Palpatine, the mastermind. Yeah, that's what it was. Uh-huh. Well, that's not flattering. Oh, there's INTR also, the architect, which is Yoda. I should probably retake it. They say it changes every couple years.
It does. That's what I'm not sure about me. I just don't have a tolerance for stupid, and I work smart, not hard. So there's the link for the free test. So take that for what it's worth.
Toei says I'm Yoda, the architect, logical, original, reserved, and curious. I can see this about her. Focus on ideas.
And freaking adorable. Yoda.
And talks weird and likes to wear a bathrobe. Oh, Chewie's an I, also ISTP, the crafter.
Oh, they got Jar Jar Binks. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, who wants to be that? They definitely need to put a different character in there. It's, then there's Wicket, the performer. Mm-hmm. See, and they put Owen Lars on here. It's like, what kind of... They could have done somebody better. Put Tark in there or something instead. I don't know.
Whatever. Somebody had to do this.
Bail
because they had too much free time.
That's true. Mo is Palpatine also. Yeah. It's you think with all his money he could have had a little reconstructive surgery or something there. Just pull that skin back, a few less wrinkles, add a little rouge.
He's happy with who he is. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it makes sense. Oh. If you could be any one Star Wars character, who would you want to be?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Out of the character chart?
No. Out of anybody in any Star Wars movie, Clone Wars, or Star Wars Rebels.
I'm not sure. I never thought about it. Wow. I'm looking at the Twitch, and the camera's like right here.
Is it?
Now, some people get pissed. This is why I don't talk about it. I like Star Wars enough. I'm not a huge fan. I don't care that much. I enjoy the story for what it is. I enjoy the films, but I really don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to piss people off. It has pissed people off, and I've got yelled at for it, but I don't care. So there's that.
There is that.
Mo would be BB-8.
Oh, BB-8's kind of cool. I'm okay with BB-8. Hold on, I'm trying to zoom you out a little there. I've got to rearrange boundaries and stuff when you lean forward.
It's like, I'm right here.
Hold on, let's make me smaller. How about that? Let's start with that. See, you've got some extra background.
Okay, Toei, thank you. You enjoy it for what it is, but
I
there's
like
other things I'm into.
I like to think of myself as a fan, but I'm the same way. I don't harp on it too much. It's there's so much more out there. There's other times and places for these things. So there we go. Okay, now we got Andrea's whole head instead of just part of her head.
Yay! Now, on the other hand, in Spaceballs, what character would you be?
Oh, man. You first want to go with Lone Star. At least I do, for me. But then
Yogurt.
again,
Plain yogurt.
you or me?
Me. Just plain yogurt.
It's, I like barf.
Yeah, you do. You're your own best friend.
Well, I'm definitely a little bit of an asshole. But in Star Wars, I don't know. See, I'm got to pass the point where I'm definitely not Luke or Poe Dameron or Finn, because they're all young and it's not the age thing; it's the experience thing and viewpoint on life. I don't know. No, but I've never modeled myself to be. Oh, I want to be like that person. I've always just been who I am instead of someone else.
Now, out of the new ones, I do. The hell is that?
Once that's a no.
Comparing yourself to Star Wars character, that's a no.
There you go.
And cold coffee. The hell is that shit?
Yummy. That's what that is. Okay. So Microsoft is...
Jawa.
Oh, it's better than
Hey,
Java.
I like that, Toey.
That's a good point. It's a good point. It's
That's funny.
Deadpool comes out tomorrow or tonight in most places.
I know.
I guess.
Well, we may be seeing that.
Should we?
tomorrow
Hey,
night.
I wonder what's in Goochland Drive-In Theater this weekend.
Yeah, we won't be going there.
Okay. Why not?
Because Ed was really awesome, and him and Teresa gave me a gift card to a movie theater, and that's what we're going to be using.
Okay. Well, just for anybody else who's in our local area. Oh, what? It's apparently tonight is Deadpool 2 on the main screen, and The Grove has I Feel Pretty. Now, is there a second feature?
Oh my god! And that's the Amy Schumer movie. I want to see that. Damn it!
It's and everybody, Margot Kidder is like, oh, that's our Lois Lane. I never thought she was that good of a Lois Lane.
She got paid either way, so kudos to her.
There we go. That's true.
Toey says it's going to rain out the drive-in this weekend anyway.
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah.
We've been there when it rained. Not so hard, though. Just a light rain.
Well, it's... To give a little too much personal information, my AC is broken in the car, so we definitely wouldn't be taking mine, because if it's raining and fogs up and you can't turn on the defrosters, Nope, that's a good point. Toey, do we want to set a day for Tabletopia now, or shall we do that sometime in the future? Are we all booked up for Wednesdays for now?
I think she's booked up for June.
I think so.
I think that's what she said the other day.
We'll have to do it as a one-time thing, and then when we have so much fun, we'll make time for it. So we'll just have to find out when we're...
Yeah.
Oh, see, I feel like we're back to the old show format. Oh, wait, look, hey, there's John, Max RPG, 2-1B for me. That's a good one. I like 2-1B. Bit Troll. I think you're more of a talker than 2-1B, John.
Oh.
Toey, okay. We'll set it back for August. We'll figure it out. We'll make it happen one time at least, and then we'll see what goes from there. It's all
right. It'll work.
It's
my plan. I mean, I would like to see Deadpool tomorrow, but my plan this weekend is to work on OBS and figure that out so I can start streaming on my channel.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? No one shots a medical droid. Oh, yeah. I like medical droids. They're handy.
He was one of my favorite characters in Rogue One when it comes to personality and whatnot. He was definitely... Wait a minute. 2-1B is the medical droid. Who am I thinking of? Who's the...
Hell if I know.
The combat droid in Rogue One? The one that...
I'm the wrong person to ask unless you want me to Google it.
Yeah, that's what I'd have to do. And that's where I say, yeah, I love Star Wars, but I'm not all about Star Wars. And if somebody says they're a fan, I'll assume they remember more of the names than I do. And they've probably picked it apart more than I have because I just enjoy the damn movies for what they are.
And I like porgs. They're fucking adorable. And they're tasty.
I wonder if Chewie's going to have his porg in the last installment of the current trilogy.
Who knows?
Or maybe he'll just have a KFP meal.
Haha. Either way, somebody will bitch about it,
For KFP, would that be Klaatu fried pork instead of Kentucky? Oh, they should make a planet that's just like Redneck Planet. Just a bunch of piles of starships in people's yards. And
you can write that. We could film that next door.
We could. We're definitely going to have to wear some good shoes so we don't need a tetanus shot afterwards. Mm-hmm. Good time.
I should get one before it, just in case.
I don't want a shot. Here comes Hazel. See Hazel? What's our plan for, besides maybe Deadpool this weekend, what's our plan for tonight and the rest of the weekend?
I would like to work on OBS. I just installed it. I need to play with it.
Now,
because I want to get my channel up and running.
The quick and easy version of that is I'll sit here on my computer while you sit there on yours, and I will tell you exactly what to put in so you duplicate what you want. By the way, this weekend, if you're in Gloucester, in the main library, from 10:30 a.m. till 4 is gaming day, and they're going to have board games and video games for all. So make sure you guys check that out if you're local to that area. And then Mo will be at the Greek Festival. Max says, so a bit off of that, I have a pork leg now versus a peg leg. They're using porcine skin for my skin graft. Sweet. So to get John to come a running, you just go, Suey!
No, just the one leg.
Be like restless leg syndrome as one leg tries to come to you. Now, I wonder, will that make your hair in that graft grow differently? Will you have like the little spiky piggy hairs? Or maybe your underneath skin, once it actually grafts, it'll come up. Huh. That'll be interesting.
It's just like a piece of a football. It's okay. Yes, and Greek Fest. Yay.
Greek Fest. Greek food.
I want to go just for the food. Damn.
Mm-hmm. Oh, imagine the music and the dancing, though.
I love to just have the food and watch them dance.
Yeah.
You have little hair, not in that spot. Just wait. 2 hairs for every pore.
Do you really know that much about pig pores?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I took a lot of science classes, dissected a lot of stuff.
In science class, or is this a separate thing?
We'll say it's in science class.
Let's go with that.
I wanted to be a funeral director for a while, but that's a hard industry to get into, unless family, so I know a bit. Took some classes. Oh, my goodness.
Slap some bacon on my head, then. There we go. And Mo says, you can hear and smell it from my house. I hope by it, Mo means the Greek
You mean the Greek Fest?
Yeah.
Oh, I want some Greek food so bad. Oh, my God. Damn it.
You know what? I'm going to pull up some of our science articles.
Yay, science.
Here we go. We'll go there. Oh, let's see here. Oh, that's an old article. No, that's a brand new article. This is not. No. Hold on, I'm going to it.
This is a no?
It's a
That's no.
It's bizarre new studies suggest octopuses came from outer space. Now, they had this article floating around like 2 years ago, or a similar
Wouldn't it be
article.
octopi?
It's either one is acceptable. Yeah, you can go either way. There is no right or wrong in that. Now, the official way is octopuses, but octopi has been so commonly used. Oh, good. The second paragraph here says, well, I'll read the first and second. It's only a couple sentences. Octopuses are weird. Some would even say out of this world. And if you can't explain something, it might as well be aliens, right? Well, that's what a mind-bogglingly controversial paper in the Journal of Progress in Biophysics and Molecular Biology has claimed. It says octopuses, not octopi, are so complex it can only be explained by extraterrestrial life. Spoiler, they can't. So, yeah, 33 researchers and 0 zoologists, including a chap called Chandra Wickramasinghe, proponent of the idea of directed panspermia, that life on our planet began when it was seeded by alien microbes. Okay, no evidence, no proof. He has tried to prove it, no success. So yeah, this will be just a fun internet thing for a couple weeks and then it'll go away. So yeah, it's Anyway, back to the aliens. In their paper, the team says that the arrival of alien microbes probably kickstarted the Cambrian explosion, with the diversification ending with the evolution of the octopus. Makes sense.
So we asked, was the History Channel aliens guy involved in that article?
Well, he should be now.
Maybe.
The genome of octopus shows a staggering level of complexity. They note, adding that features like its large brain and camera-like eyes appear suddenly on the evolutionary scale. When you talk about the evolutionary scale, it's... Why? Because aliens, of course. Having ever been reading this article, the evolution from squid to octopus is compatible with a suite of genes inserted by extraterrestrial viruses. That's what the researchers wrote. But wait, there's more.
There's more.
Because maybe it wasn't just microbes, right? Yes, there's another explanation, namely that octopus eggs were cryopreserved by a comet and delivered to our planet. Maybe squid too.
Okay.
You see, the problem with this theory is how much genetics they actually have in common with every other animal on the planet. Yeah, they're a very specialty, odd breed, but yeah, they're not. Yeah. As much as I'd love for something like that to be true, no. So, is that you? That's you. Okay.
It is. I'm watching the severed dog heads fall in the glass. It's very entertaining while the cat sleeps next to it.
Ooh, here's a good article. Now, do you remember the alien megastructure star? Do you remember that one?
I think so.
See,
What is it again?
There's a star out there that we're observing, and suddenly it's dimming and brightening, dimming and brightening. And people are like, oh, what's causing this? And we haven't been able to figure it out yet. Well, one of the big popular theories, least likely, but it's a popular theory, is there's something called a Dyson sphere, which is a structure built around a planet or a sun, a star, which is built to absorb the energy and use that energy. Well, this star, that since we haven't been able to explain, is it a dust cloud? Is it, two planets going in front of it simultaneously? What's going on? Because it's not regular. It's not like we could say, oh, that's a planet passing, that's why it's dimming. So apparently it's fluctuating again. And yeah, back in 2015, astronomers having a gander at this particular star noticed going through enormous dips in brightness means one of two things. Either something in front is blocking the light heading towards Earth, or a bizarre process within the star itself is causing temporarily for it to get dimmer, like a small breeze interfering with the light of a candle. So it's known as Tabby Star, named after Dr. Tabitha Boyajian. But yeah, people love the Dyson sphere concept that's blocking out the light. So other theories have come and gone. comet swarm that would eventually disintegrate, but then we wouldn't see it continuing to dim and brighten. It's been doing since the 1890s. They went back to old photographic plates of that region and found this star has been doing this for well over 100 years. So, and by the way, calculations show that in order for this to still be down to comets, it required 648,000 comets.
We have some comments.
Yeah.
Toei says, I almost have the list of conspiracies ready to send you.
Nice.
I'll get your email soon. And Max says, the star is not changing color, so Dyson Sphere wouldn't explain.
There we go. See, the bottom line is we still don't know what's doing it. But there's these other crazy theories. So the comet theory, like I said, almost 650,000, and they'd all have to be more than 125 miles across, 200 kilometers. So that's not terribly likely. Been a suggestion it's a variable star. They come in range of flavors from pulsating variables that grow and shrink quite dramatically and eclipsing binaries, which that's what I'm pushing for. That it's actually, a binary star, one star going in front of another, and that's creating. So what we're actually seeing is a brightening of it as opposed to a dimming when you have two crossing in front of each other. Our own main sequence star, the Sun, is a variable star. Its energy output dims by 0.1% over an 11-year cycle. Now, the problem with that is Tabby star is an F-type, another main sequence that's very stable, and one that should only show very small changes in brightness. But we've seen its brightness dip by up to 3% in just 4 years. Oh, here's a few other suggestions. It's consuming a fragmenting planet, or that a massive cloud of dust keeps obscuring it. But those have also been kind of poo-pooed.
Maybe it's Pac-Man.
Could be Pac-Man. See, the bottom line is, we don't know.
Wasn't there an article, I think there was an article I sent you about the Pac-Man theory. Did I? No.
No, I don't. I remember
something to because of flat Earth people, and then there's this.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, it's one of the flat Earthers basically went, "Oh, we're on one of Pac-Man's dots."
What the hell is that shit? Okay, flat Earthers think you can't fall off the edge because we live in a Pac-Man world. Really?
Wonka, wonka, wonka.
Yeah,
wonka.
this is what I read the other day. I'm like, people just, I'm going to put this in the chat. I don't even know what to think of that. Wow. That we've had rockets go into space and photograph the Earth from afar, so you know it's round, you know it's a sphere, you know. Where did they come up with this shit?
Well, it's like we talked about. Good.
I'm genuinely curious how these people's minds work. I would like to sit and have this discussion with someone and just pick their brain on why they think certain things.
Like we mentioned earlier in the show, this guy who launched himself in the rocket to prove it was flat, he hasn't said shit since he landed because he basically went, oh, my bad, never mind.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to have a discussion with these people just because I'm very curious.
Okay, now here's an article about plumes of water on Europa's ocean found by dead NASA spacecraft. They're found by a dead spacecraft? Yeah. What? So in the data from NASA's Galileo, they're still going through that data. And they're re-examining it now that we have more knowledge. And they have found, after reanalyzing it, and it orbited Jupiter from 1995 to 2003, it appears on December 16th, 1997, it appears to have flown straight through a plume on Europa. So they do say this is compelling evidence that Europa does possess plumes, and the spacecraft had gone through one. So there's all kinds of pretty pictures. They're not real pictures, though. They're artist renditions. So yeah, let's see if they learned anything. Plasma affecting. Yeah.
We're going to get a notification. I did not mean to hit the button. It says that I've subscribed or I follow the channel. I followed before I hit the wrong button.
Gotcha. It's
So, yay! I followed again. Whatever. Go ahead.
Here's an article on ifuckinlovescience.com. Pornhub's data shows something rather hilarious happened on May 4th.
Yes.
Can we guess what it is?
Star Wars porn.
Yeah. It's so yeah, basically Star Wars related porn had an upsurge on that day, which that's not surprising. It's
It should be like that all the time, you would think, but whatever. More people made it or searched it?
Searched it. Yeah. And other terms that had a surge of the franchise title, so they'd add Star Wars and add like sex, lesbian, porn, anal, XXX parody, and Princess Leia and Princess Leia slave. Lightsaber.
Yeah, that's really popular, the slave Leia.
Yeah. Oh wow, it is a huge spike. That's like 1,000% plus spike. So that's cute.
For that, yeah. Wow. I am not part of that. I did not search that because I know exactly where to go. Just saying.
I've got them bookmarked. I don't need to search. Oh, here's something fun. Alien Hunting Project will listen to millions of stars in the next 2 months.
Oh.
You want to hear about that?
Well, I was going to say on the hunting thing, I want to go ghost hunting. When are we going to do that? We have a group. We have people. Even if we don't take them, I just want to go. The weather's getting nicer.
And ghosts love
Who wants
nice
to
weather.
hunt ghosts with us? Well, the ghosts don't give a shit, but if I'm going to sit outside or whatever.
In a dark, creepy place, indoor or outdoor, we at least want people we're going to be amused with.
Yeah. So who wants to go ghost hunting or whatever and hang out?
So we need to find a
Let us
good
know.
place to go that it basically is not on a ghost tour in October.
Yeah. And yeah, not too far out of the way because I'll hike, but
Yeah.
but I don't want to.
Yeah, it's and that's the other thing, indoor versus outdoor. Toey says.
Okay, Toey, do you have any places you want to go or you think of or
Who
suggestions?
knows a place to hunt? That's really our first thing, and after that, the rest will follow.
Who has access to a place?
That's a fine point too.
Yeah, because there's lots of places I'd like to go, but I don't think we would be able to.
Excuse me, man.
So he says they'll ask around.
Appreciate that.
I mean, I would like to go to some of the old prisons and things. Like that one we went to when you were reporting on the pet blessing thing, and we stopped at that little prison.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Didn't the woman
That would
sitting
be really
outside say that it's like haunted or something, or people claim it's haunted?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's why I would like to go when there's not a big festival thing going on.
And we'll grab Charlie Staden. He's got equipment. And then we'll see if Tammy and Mike from the Drunken Trog can come out. Because they have equipment, have done it, and picked up some interesting voice recording.
Oh, yeah, they have some great stuff, evidence, I guess you could say. I'd like to go back to that place and check it out myself.
Yeah. And probably after dark, so there's less road noise of cars going by and whatnot. So, yeah, it's a matter of just
It's spookier that way.
It is. But just for those of you guys watching, it's essentially a one-room building with an upstairs. But that one room has 4 cells or something like that. And
it's an old type of prison where they still had segregated showers and toilets and stuff in this little area. Crazy.
Yep. Yep, and by segregated, not necessarily gender segregated, but racially segregated.
Oh yeah, because it's that old.
Yeah. It's apparently Gravity is the worst sci-fi movie out there. It's got the worst science.
It was. Yeah.
Oh,
no,
what is this?
nothing really to say about that. It was weird.
Here's an article, and when was it published? Let me see here. See, I hate it when they don't put a date on an article. Kills me. Oh, this is last year, where NASA was responding to a claim that the world's going to end tomorrow. Oh, is this Planet X at Nibiru
It already
again?
did.
It does. Yeah, it's Nibiru again. Never mind.
You know what was a good movie? The Martian, with Matt Damon.
It was.
It was very believable with some of the stuff. He had to grow plants and poop, and he lost weight, and just it was very realistic. Something you believe could happen, just the way they portrayed the movie. I liked it.
Okay, so do you remember the Mars One project? Where there was a company who was going to go build a colony on Mars. And they were doing like, fill out an application, we'll interview you. Well, in March, one of the finalists broke the silence and went, it's a scam, it's a fake, and the process is flawed. So this is a former NASA researcher, Joseph Roche, was one of the 100 finalists to live in a permanent settlement on Mars. In his interview with Elmo Keep from Medium, Roche expressed many concerns ranging from inaccurate media coverage. For example, there weren't 200,000 applicants. There was 2,761. To Mars One's psychological and psychometric testing, or lack thereof. To how leading contenders earned their spot. He says they paid for it. So, yeah, when you apply, you automatically join the Mars One community. They start giving you points. You get points for going through each round of the selection process.
They had to pay to submit applications and stuff?
Give me a second here. Oh, you get points to buy merchandise or donate money. So basically, if you donate money or buy merchandise, you can go up in the ranks quicker. Yeah, as a result, most of the high-profile hopefuls are those who bought the most, who brought about the most money one way or the other. So he completed the questionnaire, uploaded a video, got a medical exam, took a quick quiz over Skype, and not much else. Made it to the final 100, planned a multi-day regional interview, seems to have been canceled. And there's other bad signs. So yeah, Mars One is hoping to generate $6 billion from a reality show. Okay, so yeah, it looks like if we're going to Mars, you might as well look to Elon Musk, not these other guys.
I don't want to go to Mars.
I don't think I do either. It's not until it's set up to the point where I can
work will be hell.
That's true. Boing, boing. You can just bounce across the landscape, can't you? What's the gravity on Mars? It's less than Earth.
Yeah, but if you don't have a job on Mars, you know.
That's true. It's not like you could go to 7-Eleven.
The Black Cat in Wilmington. I want to say I've heard of that. Lady Skipper says, I think the Black Cat in Wilmington has haunted tour. And Mo wants to go to Mars.
I'd like to visit Mars. I wouldn't want to go there to live. I've got too many things to do on this planet. Kind of
How
like
would you pack for that?
toothpaste in a tube, underwear, moon boots. They should work, right? Get some of those bouncy boots with the springs in them. Oh, NASA once again shooting down the flat earthers by showing pictures from outer space.
I understand, Toby. The most I'll travel in space is in the airplane to go to other countries.
Yeah, it's like Ed when we talk about traveling overseas. Ed's like, nope, no urge to. There's enough to see in this country. So, same thing, but planet. I do want to, ramble around this planet first, see what's going on, check things out.
Well, there is plenty to see in this country, but a lot of the people we know is in other countries.
That's true. We do go places for people as much as the place itself. It's just more...
The only reason why we went to the Harry Potter thing is because we just happened to be there for something else. So.
Very true. Very true. See if there's any more interesting stuff here.
We got about 10 minutes left.
Let's see here. No, we covered Pornhub.
Yeah, we did.
Google employees are...
And everybody that's with us today, join us Monday. We should be broadcasting, hopefully no storm or God, whatever. And we'll have a contest. We'll have another contest for old coins.
So did you just say no God?
What? No God accident? I don't know.
Wait, really? Here's an article.
No act of God.
Ukraine's military dolphins captured by Russian forces die after apparently refusing to defect.
Hmm.
What do we got here? You'll never guess why some relationships fall apart and others don't.
Why?
Okay, it's hard to tell the difference between a long-term and short-term relationship, and there's an obvious culprit. In the study, published in Journal of Experimental Psychology, General, they surveyed more than 800 people over a range of ages, used relationship reconstruction survey, right back to the beginning. They found that in both long and short, romantic interest rose at a similar rate. Means at the start, it's a high, and they enjoyed good times at first sight, so to speak. Short was used to refer to experiences like a fling or a one-night stand, whereas long was a committed relationship. Okay, but there came a point where it plateaued and declined in short-term relationships, while in long-term relationships, the romantic interest continued to climb. This suggests that despite those initial feelings, you might know exactly where a relationship is going to go.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I mean, I don't understand your mumbling.
Basically, they're saying if you liked each other, that the romantic interest was there before sex, it helps the long-term relationship if you're attracted before sex. So if it's just about sex, it's not likely to last. So I think that's common sense. I don't think they needed a study for that. Why are Google's employees...
Somebody got paid to do it. Huh?
Google employees are quitting. They're resigning over the company's latest project, which apparently is military drone project with the Department of Defense.
Yeah.
Good times.
I think I read a little bit about that last week.
Employees are quitting because of lack of transparency within the corporation. If they're doing a military project, well, of course they're not going to have...
Not everybody needs to know every detail when it comes to the military stuff, because that's why we have the military. There has to be some secrets.
Yeah, it's... But the employee's point was, we believe that Google should not be in the business of war. Contract puts Google...
What should they be in the business of?
I guess just technology and helping people and creating AIs that can listen to you.
If they don't do it, here's the thing. If they don't do it, someone else will.
Yeah. It's but the bottom line...
So I would rather work for the company that's doing it, knowing that it's done right and know these certain aspects, than just have some random whatever. Because either way, it's going to happen. Just my 2 cents. War is inevitable.
Okay, I'm just going to read some headlines here and not go into the article. National report on birth rates show why the U.S. needs immigration. Hippo poop is so nasty it can literally kill fish.
So is that what a sloth smells like? Hippo poop?
And then here's the last headline I'll read before I close the website. And this one's a disturbing one. Teacher sparks outrage for drowning caged raccoons in front of students during class.
Why did they... Okay.
Yeah.
How old was the class?
High school
Was
in
this
Ocala,
kindergarten?
Florida.
High school.
It's believed that 2 raccoons and a possum were killed in a hands-on lesson in land management because the animal had eaten a chicken that the class was raising for a project. So, footage of the lesson was captured on a smartphone, despite the teacher reportedly requesting students don't film it. So it showed the raccoon being dunked and held down in a garbage can full of water. Yeah.
I don't know. No.
No, that's horrible. And, yeah, I believe...
They shouldn't do that.
Yeah. There's much more humane ways to do it if you have to put an animal down, and I don't think that's a teacher's place to do that in front of their students.
No. Now, people don't want sex education taught in school, but they're teaching that. Wait a minute, people. Where's our priorities?
Yeah, especially since sex is something that almost all of us will get to participate in at some time. And it's definitely part of human physiology, anatomy, the cycle of life, etc.
But it seems that violence is more accepting than sexuality, which is bullshit. But
I have to agree with Toei right
and hippo shit kills fish. What are you going to do?
Toei says, and again, no one in the class protested. Sad. This goes back to the Home Depot of everybody went, quick, everybody into the back room. Toei's like, no. Yeah, I think if I was in a class and they're going to, it's...
I would have stopped it.
Yeah, it's at minimum walked away. And I
or
guess
at
maybe...
least done something.
Maybe the filming was a protest. It's now I don't think that's, let alone to the raccoon, healthy for anybody else involved. And for that teacher to do that in front of a class, possible psychopathic tendencies.
Yeah, here in the world where everybody gets a participation trophy, and you can't do things because it might scar someone emotionally or hurt their feelings, than this.
That would scar me emotionally. And hurt my feelings.
Fuck yeah.
It's oops, sorry, Teach. I tipped the bucket.
Exactly.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Somebody would be kicking the bucket.
Not the raccoon. No, that's bullshit. And I tell you what, if my son came home suspended or whatever because he stopped something like that, I would definitely cheer him on in that one. It's
We'd do a show about it.
Yeah, actually, that would be a whole show, wouldn't it? It's a lot of... It's one of the ones where you get to see us react emotionally, and not just because raccoons are adorable. They're still vermin.
It's another living thing, and there should be compassion towards living things. Just, if this had to happen, there's better ways to do it.
Except cockroaches. I don't have any compassion for them. They're disgusting.
But you can step on that. You can't step on a raccoon.
Well, you can, but it's not going to be a totally different result.
Yeah.
Possibly permanent damage to your calves. It's okay, we're in the last couple minutes here. Let's go ahead and get this wrapped up. Find somebody to rate. Toei, we almost rated you yesterday, but you were off by the time we got off, of course. I said got off. Okay.
So we rated Dana, who was doing a broadcast. It looks like, you know what, Mo? That's a no. Cockroaches are not adorable. Courtroom's on.
We got Lady of Games, Livia in the middle, Geeks IRL, or Courtroom, or Bravo.
Well, Lady of Games has almost 90 viewers. Courtroom has 18. I don't see the other ones, so. Excuse me.
So yeah, Livia in the middle has 86. So yeah, we want to go with the lower one.
Yeah.
Courtroom it is, just because I like that guy.
Closing toast.
Closing toast. Here's to having a great weekend, whether you're working and being productive or slacking off and thus being productive to your emotional state. You forked up that glass. Okay. Right. Courtroom. Let's do a raid. Courtroom. Let's start some closing music. Here we go. Thanks for joining us in the discussion shenanigans tonight. You are the one thing that makes the show what it is. Don't forget to join us at the tavern next week. Until then, have fun, keep learning, and be good to one another. Now, raise your glass in good cheer. Enjoy the small moments every day and steamy dreams every night.